Mo Shu and the other two didn't continue strolling and returned to the hotel. As soon as he returned, Moxio put the black dagger back into its scabbard. No matter how he looked at it, it seemed suitable. Moreover, this scabbard was not simple. He did not know what material it was made of, but it was as smooth as jade. He Ling Yue saw it and said, "Your goal from the beginning was this scabbard, right?" Mo Shu nodded. He Ling Yue continued, "Your dagger is so beautiful. What's its name?" Moxio was stunned for a moment. That's right, what was the name of the black dagger? Just call him Black Kirin. Good name, Ors. But I didn't expect to get an unexpected reward this time. Moxio took out his pistol. When he Ling Yue saw the pistol, she said with a serious expression, "Yes, this is really unexpected." "I don't know much about this," Moxio asked. "Do you know about the emergence of overheated weapons in recent years?" Mo Shu and he Ling Yue looked at Dong Fang. This guy turned on the TV and laughed as soon as he returned to the hotel. He was hopeless. He Ling Yue said, "I know a little about the news in Yanjing. There are indeed a lot of people causing trouble in Yanjing, but using firearms, I haven't heard of it for so many years." "All right. Let's not talk about this for now. We can investigate after this mission is over," Moxio said as he put away his gun. In the shadow system, other than accepting missions from the software, one could also create their own missions. After completing the mission, the system would automatically give a rating and corresponding rewards. If the conditions allowed, Mo Shu wanted to investigate. "What do we do now?" He Ling Yue asked. Mo Shu glanced at his watch and said, "Wait." "Wait for what?" "Wait for those two ghosts to come back." An hour later, Hao Ren and Lu Ziyang helped each other back to the hotel. Moxio had checked the entire hotel and there was no surveillance. It could really be considered a safe haven for Fan Street. Therefore, the two of them did not return to their own rooms. Instead, they went straight to Mo Shu's room. As soon as they entered the door, the two of them collapsed on the sofa, squeezing Dong Fang, who was originally watching television on the sofa, to the side. "How is it?" asked Mo Shu. Lu Ziyang volunteered, "I'll say it, I'll say it. The inside is awesome. That girl, awesome." Hao Ren laughed foolishly and said, I've been staring at this beauty for the whole night, but I didn't dare to talk to her." Lu Ziyang said resentfully, "You're really useless. The women who come here, how can they be serious? If you're not rich, I'll get it for you." He Ling Yue pouted and looked at Mo Shu. Mo Shu was also a little embarrassed. He had asked these two people to investigate Wang Jinyang, but he didn't expect them to say this. Hey, you two, how's the mission going? Did you find Wang Jinyang?" Lu Ziyang was a little confused. He looked at Hao Ren and said, "Have you seen Wang Jinyang?" "Huh?" Hao Ren asked in confusion. "Who is Wang Jinyang? Is it that girl from today?" Lu Ziyang realized his mistake and immediately apologized to Mo Shu. "Boss, listen to me. The two of us have never been to such a place before. We were a little absent-minded the moment we entered, but the two of us looked very carefully. Wang Jinyang shouldn't have appeared." "Should?" He Ling Yue said unhappily. "Are you guys on a mission or playing?" The two of them were instantly sober after He Ling Yue said that. They sat up straight on the sofa obediently. Just like that, Mo Shu watched He Ling Yue persuade and educate her for half an hour. In the end, He Ling Yue was probably tired, so she shook her head and sighed before going back to her room to sleep. Before he left, he said to Mo Shu, "This is the way. This is something that women don't understand." Mo Shu didn't understand why He Ling Yue was so angry. After He Ling Yue entered the room, Mo Shu asked, "Tell me what's going on inside." Lu Ziyang and Hao Ren's gloominess disappeared as soon as they heard this. During the narration, the most excited person was not the two of them, but Dong Fang, who was watching the show from the side. Dong Fang exclaimed after hearing this. F***ck. Mo Shu, why didn't you give me such a good mission? Why do you want me to be a bodyguard? Brother Lu Ziyang, can we exchange? I'm going back to sleep. I still have to participate in the interclass competition tomorrow. Brother Hao Ren, goodbye. After Lu Ziyang and Hao Ren left, Mo Shu sat on the sofa and started thinking. According to their description, this place was similar to a nightclub, but the difference was that the women inside were basically staff. They could do whatever they wanted with money. If that was the case, Mo Shu felt that there was a high chance that Wang Jinyang was there, unless Wang Jinyang was gay. He was speechless for a night. The next day, Mo Shu woke up and sat on the sofa waiting for He Lingyue and Dong Fang to wake up. Mo Shu wanted to sleep in the room last night, but He Lingyue was a girl, so she naturally wanted her own room. Dong Fang was too big to sleep on the sofa, so in the end, he could only let Mo Shu sleep on the sofa in the living room. By the time they woke up, Hao Ren and Lu Ziyang had already returned to school. After the three of them met up, they ran amok on Fan Street. The image of Mo Shu, a brainless young master, appearing on Fan Street for 2 consecutive days was simply deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Many people wanted to take the opportunity to rip Mo Shu off, but they also knew that this young master had a shrewd girlfriend by his side, so it was not easy to do so at the moment. In the wee hours of the morning, Mo Shu brought He Lingyue and his bodyguard Dong Fang around the black market again. Not long after, Mo Shu sneaked out and headed straight for the venue. As soon as Mo Shu entered, he was shocked by the scene inside. No wonder Lu Ziyang and Hao Ren forgot to carry out their mission when they came here yesterday. The lights here were dim and mainly red. The music was not as noisy as expected. Instead, it was quiet music. The women inside were dressed in different styles and were relatively cool. They actually gave people a high-class feeling. Mo Shu quickly looked away and searched the hall. He first saw Lu Ziyang and Hao Ren, who also saw Mo Shu and were giving him a look. Mo Shu took out his phone and looked at it. Lu Ziyang had sent him a message. Target spotted, at your 8 o'clock. Mo Shu inadvertently glanced over. It was indeed Wang Jinyang. However, when he saw Wang Jinyang, he frowned and sent a message to Lu Ziyang. After waiting for a while, Mo Shu walked towards Wang Jinyang with a smile. He walked to a nearby spot and hugged a woman beside him. Baby, do you want to play for a while? Before the woman could say anything, a figure bumped into Mo Shu's shoulder, causing him to stagger. Mo Shu didn't ask, so he directly scolded, damn it, who doesn't have eyes? The one who bumped into Mo Shu was Lu Ziyang. Lu Ziyang laughed strangely and said, hey, isn't this young Master Shao? Why are you here? What can you do here? When Mo Shu saw that it was Lu Yang, he immediately softened. Damn it. How unlucky. Why did I meet a B*TCH like you? At this moment, the woman Mo Shu had just hugged said, boss, don't be angry. Tell me how you want to play. Mo Shu shook off the woman's hand and said, I'm not playing anymore. Then, Lu Ziyang said to Hao Ren, this idiot. He's impotent and yet he's here to be humiliated. Yeah, stupid people have a lot of money, Hao Ren agreed. The two of them chatted and were about to leave when a voice sounded behind them. The person who spoke was Wang Jinyang. Lu Ziyang turned around and looked at Wang Jinyang. What's the matter? Wang Jinyang leaned against the counter and said, do you two know that brother? What brothers? Hao Ren asked. That person was a piece of trash. He relied on his money and was nothing. Lu Ziyang sized up Wang Jinyang and said warily, is there something you need? I want to know all the information about that person just now. Brother, Lu Ziyang said disdainfully, although we've only been here for a few days, we also know the rules of Fan Street. If you want to know the news, you have to exchange it with money. Wang Jinyang took out a wad of money from his bag and said, 50, ooh. I want to know the information of that person just now. Lu Ziyang and Hao Ren looked at each other and said, all right, no problem. What do you want to know? Wang Jinyang stretched out 3 fingers and said, first, this person's basic information. Second, how rich was this person? What were they doing at Fan Street? Third, I request that this information be kept confidential. I can't tell anyone that I've revealed this information. Lu Ziyang snatched the money and said, deal. This person is called Shao Qing. The power behind him is very big. He has so much money that you can't imagine. I can more or less guess. Wang Jinyang moved closer to Lu Ziyang and listened carefully. Lu Ziyang continued, he has a problem in that area. Don't look at how he brings his girlfriend around all day. It's actually only for a minute. Didn't you see how dissatisfied his girlfriend is all day? I guess he's here to buy medicine that can cure him, ha ha ha. Hao Ren also burst into laughter, and the two of them mocked Mo Shu again. Wang Jinyang was very satisfied after hearing that. He nodded and said, "All right, the deal is over. The two of you can pretend that you've never seen me." Lu Ziyang grabbed Wang Jinyang's arm and said, "Brother, do you have any good ideas to trick him? We can help you." Wang Jinyang slapped Lu Ziyang's hand away. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Lu Ziyang was so frightened that he quickly retracted his hand and said shakily, "Please leave, please leave." Wang Jinyang glared at Lu Ziyang and Hao Ren and said, "If I find out that you've spread this matter, your lives will be in danger." Lu Ziyang and Hao Ren ran back to the hotel and went to Mo Shu's room. After entering the house, Lu Ziyang immediately became smug and said to Hao Ren, "Tell boss about it. How was your performance?" Hao Ren gave him a thumbs up and said, "Brother Lu's acting skills are amazing, especially the fear and panic he showed after being threatened by Wang Jinyang. It's so vivid." Lu Ziyang had a complicated expression on his face. He could have bragged about the whole scene, but Hao Ren insisted on bragging about it. It wasn't an act. He was really scared when he saw Wang Jinyang's murderous intent. Moxio waved his hand and said, "All right, you two. Tell me what happened." Hao Ren told Mo Shu the whole story, and Mo Shu asked for many details. After making sure that Wang Jinyang didn't suspect anything, he was relieved. Not bad. You two didn't carry the reputation of lechers and did something. Wang Jinyang has already taken the bait." Mo Shu glanced at He Lingyue as he spoke, meaning, "Is my method okay? I didn't expect you two to be so good at acting," said He Lingyue. "That's a must, but it's also thanks to Mo Yingdi's professional guidance for the whole afternoon," Lu Ziyang said proudly. "That's right. In order to let the two of them act out this act well, Moxio had taught them for an entire afternoon and rehearsed it countless times. Everything was ready. They were just waiting for Wang Jinyang to take the initiative to come to them tomorrow. Then, they would lead him to an uninhabited place to arrest him." Everyone dispersed, and Moxio sat on the sofa alone, deep in thought. It seemed like everything was under control, but there were many uncertainties. When he went to find Wang Jinyang today, Mo Shu had actually come up with two plans. He would use God's snooping on Wang Jinyang as soon as he entered. If Wang Jinyang was weak, Mo Shu, Lu Ziyang, and Hao Ren would have attacked him directly. However, the result he saw made Mo Shu very worried. Skill 1. Extreme Sword, Skill Effect. Summons a sword as a weapon. Increases strength by 100% when used. Duration: 3 minutes. Cooldown: 3 hours. Second skill: Bursting Flames, Skill Effect. Summon Fireball to deal damage. Cooldown: 25 minutes. Third skill: Spirit Flash Stab. Skill Effect: After being released, it will quickly attack in the specified direction. The distance is 5 meters. When in the attack state, it is invincible and cannot be attacked. Cooldown: 3 hours. Fourth skill: Invisibility 2, Skill Effect. Enter stealth state after activation. Duration: 5 minutes. Cooldown time: 12 hours. This was Wang Jinyang's skill. The 4 skills did not belong to the same category. The skills were very mixed but very difficult to deal with. Originally, Mo Shu thought that Wang Jinyang could rob a bank, so he should have a few very powerful offensive skills. But now, it seemed that the real difficulty was how to catch him. 1 or 2 skills were easy to understand, and they weren't particularly strong. If he paid a little attention in battle, he shouldn't be injured. The last 2 skills were difficult to deal with. There was no need to talk about invisibility. Once they lost their tracks, it would be difficult to find them. However, if he only had the stealth skill, he could catch Wang Jinyang in the instant he was invisible. What was really difficult to deal with were these 3 skills. On its own, this skill was very useless. It could only advance 5 meters and could not attack, but when used with the stealth skill, it was very powerful. After activating stealth, he immediately released 3 skills to advance. During this period, he was invincible. If he was not careful, he would lose track of Wang Jinyang. There was only one problem in front of Mo Shu, and that was how to capture Wang Jinyang. The next morning, it was the 3rd day that Mo Shu and the others had been here. It was also the day of the black market, and it was the best time to capture Wang Jinyang. As usual, Mo Shu brought He Lingyue and Dong Fang around Fan Street in the morning. He mentioned that he wanted to buy something from the black market tonight. He had plenty of money, but he didn't know if there were any good things. After walking around, he returned to the hotel in the afternoon. Lu Ziyang and Hao Ren also arrived at the hotel quietly. After the two of them arrived, Moxio immediately gathered everyone for a meeting with a serious expression. "Boss, why are we still having a meeting?" Lu Ziyang asked. "I think we just need to conserve our energy and wait until night to lure Wang Jinyang to a deserted place." As he spoke, he even used his right hand to wipe his neck. "We can't be careless," Moxio said. "Do you think the five of us are stronger than the bank guards?" Everyone fell silent. "Yes, Wang Jinyang robbed a bank. I can see from the information that he has a stealth skill," Moxio continued. "I guess he used that skill to escape." He Lingyue frowned and said, "But we don't know what his skill is. How do we set it up?" Moxio smiled and said, "Then imagine the worst possibility. His stealth skill is to disappear into thin air." The few of them looked at Mo Shu strangely. What was the point of him disappearing into thin air? He definitely wouldn't be able to catch him. Mo Shu looked at them and continued, "All right then. No one can catch him if he disappears into thin air. Besides the worst possibility of him disappearing into thin air, he can turn invisible." He Lingyu's eyes lit up. "That's reliable. The worst case scenario we might face is invisibility. Tell me how to do it specifically. What's your plan?" "I need to know what your skills are. I need to know what your skills are." Other than Lu Ziyang, the others were all very surprised because it was very unreasonable to directly ask about the skill. Even if they were teammates, they would slowly become familiar with it after continuous practice. Among the people present, only Lu Ziyang knew how terrifying Moxio was. Moxia's accurate grasp of the situation and his development of skills. Lu Ziyang saw that the others did not speak and said, "I've got the ability to gain the ability to gain the ability to gain the ability to gain the ability to gain." Mafio interrupted him. "You don't have to say anything. I know everything. If you guys are worried, I'll talk about myself first. My skill is a status type skill. After activating it, all attributes will increase by 300%. Silence. The room was silent. Even Lu Ziyang knew that Moxia's skill had leveled up. Originally, it had increased by 100%, but now it had suddenly increased by 300%. However, wasn't this 300% too terrifying? Moreover, it was all attributes. No one had ever heard of a skill with all attributes. Hao Ren gulped and said, Boss Mo, as expected of the top scorer of the college entrance examination, as expected of An Ying." He Lingyue was also shocked. "Mo Shu, I'm sorry to ask, but your skill has been upgraded to Level 2 skill. All right, who wants to talk about their skill next?" He Lingyue had always known that Mo Shu was very strong, but she didn't know that he had such great potential. Dong Fang was the first to say, "My skill is called Golden Body. After it is released, it will increase your defense by 200%, attack by 100%, and harden your skin." Another freak. Mo Shu could tell during the interclass competition that Dong Fang's skills must be very strong. After Dong Fang finished speaking, everyone seemed to have let go. "My skill is Heavy Punch," Hao Ren said. "When I punch, my attack will increase by 500%. Seeing that everyone else had said it, He Lingyue also said, "My skill is Foresight. I can predict the next move of others." Mo Shu's eyes lit up as he looked at He Lingyue. "Boss, don't forget that you have Mu Qingyi." Mo Shu pushed Lu Ziyang away and said to He Lingyue, "Tell me in detail. Under what conditions can I predict?" "He's within 3 meters of me," He Lingyue said reluctantly. Moxio lowered his head and pondered. In fact, Moxio had already used God's Snoop to see these people's skills, and there wasn't much of a difference from what they had said. What shocked Mo Shu the most was He Lingyue. Skill, Future 2. Skill effect. A target becomes a future person, and the next action of others within 3 meters can be predicted. Duration. 7 minutes. Cooldown time. 6 hours. This skill once again refreshed Mo Shu's knowledge. This should be a skill of the ability system. Perhaps because the skill could be used on others, He Lingyue chose to use the support system. Mo Shu was thinking when Lu Ziyang shouted, "Boss, I haven't introduced the skill yet." I know your skill, Moxio said impatiently, but. No buts. Tell them about your skills so that they can cooperate at night. Lu Ziyang saw Mo Shu's firm attitude and simply ignored him. He said to the others, my skill, afterimage, can turn into an afterimage and then appear anywhere within a 5-meter radius of the original position. Within 5 seconds, I can activate the second part of the skill and turn into an afterimage again. Upgrade. Wait. What did you say? Mo Shu interrupted Lu Ziyang and said in disbelief, your skill leveled up? Can it be activated automatically or can it be activated in the second stage? Yeah, I've always wanted to tell you, but you didn't give me a chance. Mo Shu stared straight at Lu Ziyang, causing Lu Ziyang's hair to stand on end. Boss, if you have something to say, say it. Don't look at me like that. It's simple. Just cooperate with me and put on a show. The few of them were stunned for a second before saying in unison, I'll listen to Director Mo's arrangements. At 11:30 p.m., Mo Shu appeared at Fan Street's black market on time. Mo Shu and the other two walked around. The big market that only appeared once every 3 days was indeed different. If it weren't for the mission, they really wanted to plunder some things and go back. After walking around, Mo Shu noticed that Wang Jinyang was observing him from the corner. Moxio found an opportunity and shouted, this is the black market on Fan Street? Wasn't that too bad? There's nothing I want at all. He Lingyue comforted him, what we're looking for isn't an ordinary thing. It's possible that some stall owners have it but haven't taken it out. How about this? Let's split up and ask. Moxio sighed and said, all right. I've waited for 3 days in this lousy place, but there's nothing. The three of them split up. Moxio didn't talk to the stall owner. Instead, he found an empty space to sit down and slack off. Not long after, a hand was placed on Moxia's shoulder. Mo Shu slapped it away and said, who is it? It was Wang Jinyang, who had been observing Mo Shu for a long time. Not only that night, but he had been paying attention to Mo Shu since he entered Fan Street. Wang Jinyang had been on Fan Street for 13 days. Every day, he would squat in the corner of Fan Street to observe the pedestrians. Mo Shu's arrogant and retarded behavior on Fan Street had attracted Wang Jinyang's attention. After observing for 3 days, he felt that Mo Shu was the most suitable person to trade with. Yesterday, he had heard from Lu Ziyang that his real name was Xiao Qing. Wang Jinyang secretly checked and confirmed that he was indeed Xiao Qing. Only then did he feel relieved. Mo Shu's arrogant appearance did not make Wang Jinyang angry. Wang Jinyang sat beside Mo Shu and said, brother, I know you. Your name is Lu Nang. Are you crazy? Mo Shu cursed. What bullshit Lu Nang? His name was Xiao Qing. Even though Mo Shu was a little surprised by what he said, Wang Jinyang was really cautious. He was still testing the waters. Wang Jinyang didn't reply to Mo Shu's words and continued, Xiao Qing, I know about your body's flaws. Who exactly are you? Mo Shu asked angrily. I have no flaws. Don't worry, I have medicine that can cure your illness. Wang Jinyang knew that for a rich and powerful young master like Xiao Qing, as long as he could be cured, the elders in the family would be willing to pay no matter how much money they had. After all, they could not let the family be without descendants. Therefore, he deliberately kept them in suspense and wanted to rip them off. When Moxio heard this, he quieted down and whispered, you really have it? Let me tell you, I'm not easy to fool. Lu Jinyang didn't say anything. He took out a box and opened it for Mo Shu to see. When Moxio saw what was inside, his eyes lit up. This was spirit-gathering grass. Brother, keep your voice down. If others hear you, they will all come to fight for this herb. I heard that you were suffering from a difficult situation and wanted to do you a favor. Mo Shu immediately covered his mouth and whispered, how much is this? You need this thing. You should know the price. I bid 10 million. Wang Jinyang closed the box, hugged it in his arms, and got up to leave. Mo Shu quickly chased after Wang Jinyang and stopped him. Brother, do you think the price is suitable? Don't go. Wang Jinyang looked like he didn't want to talk about it anymore and said, go and find out what the market price is outside. This thing is priceless, and you're offering 10 million? I don't think you're sincere in buying, so I'm not selling. Wang Jinyang walked around Mo Shu and left, 30 million, Moxio shouted from behind. 50 million. 100 million. Wang Jinyang stopped in his tracks. 100 million. Then we can still talk. Brother, what's your name? Mo Shu asked with a pained expression. Let's have a good talk. It'll be difficult for me to take out 100 million yuan. Wang Jinyang thought for a moment. 100 million should be the other party's limit. The energy contained in the spirit-gathering grass could reach the peak of the spirit rank. However, it did not have the direct effect of the spirit ring, which could directly increase the level of a skill. Therefore, the price of the two was about the same. 100 million was also what Wang Jinyang had expected. There's no need to ask for the name. The lowest price I can accept is 100 million. You know how popular this thing is. I'll give you 10 seconds to consider. Sure, no problem, Moxio hurriedly said. I only want cash. If it's cash, I'll need to discuss it with my people. Wang Jinyang sat on the ground and said, okay, hurry up. Mo Shu quickly found He Lingyue and Dong Fang. He started to talk to He Lingyue and occasionally looked in Wang Jinyang's direction. After the conversation, He Lingyue walked toward Wang Jinyang. Big brother, can you let me see the treasure? Wang Jinyang didn't mind. He opened the box and showed it to He Lingyue. Big brother, can we discuss the price again? He Lingyue said with a smile. Wang Jinyang looked at Mo Shu and said, Brother Xiaoqing, your woman is bargaining with me. Didn't we already talk about it? Do you still want to listen to your woman? If you continue to dawdle like this, I won't sell it anymore. When Mo Shu heard this, he rushed over and pulled He Lingyue behind him. I've discussed the price with this brother. It's only 100 million, not a cent less. Wang Jinyang snickered. This person was really an idiot. He Lingyue was still unwilling to give up. She asked Wang Jinyang, LF, you want cash, how are you going to get so much money? You're willing to fork out 100 million yuan. You won't mind giving me a car, right? Wang Jinyang shrugged. He Lingyue said helplessly, okay, but we don't have that much cash now. We need to go to the bank to withdraw it. It's not very convenient to trade here. You see, I can wait for you to withdraw the money, but I have to decide the transaction location. No problem. Where is it? He Lingyue nodded. We'll come and find you after we withdraw the money. No, Xiaoqing must stay with me until the transaction is over. You two can go and withdraw the money. He Lingyue looked at Dong Fang and sighed. Sigh, all right, I'll get the bodyguards to get the money. Xiaoqing and I will go with you. Wang Jinyang nodded and brought Mo Shu and He Lingyue to a mountain behind Fan Street. There were very few trees on this mountain, and it was not steep. Anyone with slightly better driving skills could come up and drive away. What caught Mo Shu's attention the most was that there were no trees around the trading location that Wang Jinyang had chosen. It was an open area, and the ground was covered with hard soil without leaves. In this place, once Wang Jinyang activated his invisibility, he would lose his trail and it would be very difficult to find him. No wonder Wang Jinyang could escape unscathed after robbing the bank. He was real too cautious. While waiting for the money, Wang Jinyang chatted with Mo Shu and He Lingyue. Brother Xiaoqing, how many years have you been sick? He was about to be cured. Tell me. Mo Shu shook his head and sighed. Don't mention it. How many years is it? I was born like this. I heard that you can perform surgery now. Is that not possible? Wang Jinyang asked again. Surgery? All of them are unreliable. If there's no other way, can I look for medicine everywhere? Wang Jinyang said to He Lingyue, by the way, sister, I still don't know your name. He Lingyue was stunned for a moment and said, my name is. Ha ha ha, I found you. So you're here. Wang Jinyang immediately turned to look at the source of the sound. He frowned. Why are you here? Do you want to die? It was Lu Ziyang and Hao Ren. You don't want to live? Asked Lu Ziyang. I think you guys are the ones who don't want to live anymore. When you asked about Xiaoqing's information yesterday, I knew that you guys would definitely have a deal. I didn't expect that there would really be a treasure. Wang Jinyang smiled and said, I was wondering why I thought you two were acting weird yesterday, so you were waiting for me. Mo Shu angrily said to Wang Jinyang, brother, you actually investigated me? Wang Jinyang didn't care. It's such a big business. Of course, I have to investigate. Don't take offense. Let's deal with these two first. Lu Ziyang and Hao Ren had already attacked. This was the plan of the meeting. In order to prevent Wang Jinyang from escaping with stealth skills, Lu Ziyang and Hao Ren disguised themselves as troublemakers. Lu Ziyang used his skills to trick as many of Wang Jinyang's skills as possible. The others pretended to be in a melee and were ready to surround him at any time to ensure that nothing went wrong. Lu Ziyang went to Wang Jinyang while Hao Ren held Mo Shu and He Lingyue back. "Fatty, if I'm not wrong, you just started university, right?" Wang Jinyang said disdainfully. "You only have 2 skills at most, but I have 4. Lu Ziyang was not to be outdone. "Today, I'll show you the difference in talent." Lu Ziyang took out his dagger and attacked directly. Wang Jinyang did not let his guard down at all and immediately used the skill Extreme Sword. An energy longsword appeared in Wang Jinyang's hand out of thin air. His combat strength increased drastically. With just 2 swords, Lu Ziyang was forced to retreat step by step. After exchanging 2 more moves, Wang Jinyang said, "Why aren't you using your skills? Let me see your talent." "Sure," Lu Ziyang said with a smile. The sword landed on Lu Ziyang's body. Just as Wang Jinyang thought the battle was over, Lu Ziyang disappeared into thin air, leaving behind an afterimage. Wang Jinyang didn't panic. He turned around and slashed at Lu Ziyang's dagger. This time, Wang Jinyang, who had the upper hand, was forced back 2 steps. "I didn't expect your reaction to be so fast, again," Lu Ziyang said. The battle continued. Wang Jinyang could clearly feel that Lu Ziyang's speed had increased. He used his speed advantage to dodge. The power of the bursting flames was not small. What Wang Jinyang did not expect was that Lu Ziyang disappeared again, leaving behind an afterimage. Wang Jinyang gritted his teeth. This fatty was actually so difficult to deal with. Lu Ziyang once again appeared behind Wang Jinyang and was seen through by Wang Jinyang. The 2 of them entered a stalemate. Mo Shu and Hao Ren were fighting back and forth. In fact, he had been observing Lu Ziyang and Wang Jinyang's movements and was ready to provide support at any time. On the surface, He Lingyue was helping Mo Shu and Wang Jinyang, but in fact, she had been maintaining a distance of 3 meters between herself and Wang Jinyang. The one who broke the deadlock was not anyone present, but Dong Fang, who drove over. Dong Fang got off the car and headed straight for the battlefield. The first to support him was Mo Shu. Mo Shu and Dong Fang attacked together and quickly forced Hao Ren back. Seeing that the situation was not good, Hao Ren ran to Lu Ziyang's side. Lu Ziyang and Hao Ren met up and attacked Wang Jinyang together. Wang Jinyang looked at Mo Shu and the others who were heading toward him. Unfortunately, Wang Jinyang could not wait for reinforcements and was forced into a desperate situation. He could only use stealth. At the same time, the 5 members of the strongest club had already formed an encirclement. In front of them were Lu Ziyang and Hao Ren, on the left was He Lingyue, and on the right was Dong Fang. If nothing unexpected happened, Wang Jinyang would distance himself from the enemy and run backwards to face the strongest Mo Shu. Wang Jinyang activated his 4th skill, stealth, and disappeared without a trace. Mo Shu and the others all looked at He Lingyue. If nothing unexpected happened, Wang Jinyang would decide where to go next before he turned invisible. He Lingyue was within 3 meters of Wang Jinyang, so she should have known where he was going. Moxio was on high alert, because it was most likely that they would come to his side. However, He Lingyue pointed in a direction that no one had expected. It was the gap between Dong Fang and Lu Ziyang. Dong Fang and Mo Shu's reactions were the fastest. Dong Fang directly used his skill Golden Body to block that position. Moxio activated the descent of the War God and charged in that direction. Bang! Something bumped into Dong Fang. It seemed that the timing was just right. Wang Jinyang just happened to bump into Dong Fang. At this moment, everyone reacted and immediately narrowed the encirclement, leaving Wang Jinyang nowhere to go. Mo Shu stretched out his right hand. Due to the limited space, he grabbed Wang Jinyang's arm. "Wang Jinyang, when did you find out?" Mo Shu asked. Wang Jinyang didn't run in Moxia's direction, which was enough to show that he had already noticed something amiss. He didn't want to continue the transaction and wanted to escape immediately. This scene was quite strange. Mo Shu spoke to the air. and another voice appeared out of thin air. From the moment your little girlfriend couldn't say her name, the two of you didn't use any skills during the battle. At that time, I was sure that I had fallen into a trap. He Lingyue lowered her head in embarrassment. She really didn't expect Wang Jinyang to suddenly ask for her name. She paused for a moment. It seems like we were careless, Mo Shu said. But you've been captured. Show yourself. I can show my true form, but I have 2 questions to ask. What? With the strength of the 5 of you, why didn't you just capture me? Why are you putting on this show? Make sure everything goes well. There will be several chances to capture him during this period, but you are too cautious. Don't you know my skill? Who asked you to arrest me? Mo Shu finally realized that Wang Jinyang's question was not out of unwillingness. This was still a test to see if his skill had been exposed, and a test to see who wanted to capture him. Moxio didn't reply, instead saying solemnly, quickly reveal your true form, or I won't be polite to you. Mo Shu tightened his grip, and Jin Yang immediately cried out in pain. Kid, I'll remember you. We'll settle our scores in the future. Without any warning, Mo Shu loosened his grip. Wang Jinyang suddenly broke free from Mo Shu's grip and crashed into Dong Fang again. He had been careless. Moxio had been restricted by his fixed thinking. He had originally thought that Wang Jinyang would immediately use stab to escape after using stealth. He didn't expect Wang Jinyang to be so cunning. He deliberately waited for the 5 people to shrink back before using the stab. This way, he could directly break through the encirclement. Moxio knew that it might be too late to chase after them now. He had an idea and immediately reacted. Mo Shu took a step forward in the direction that Wang Jinyang had fled to. At this moment, Dong Fang, who was trying to get up, was once again pressed to the ground by Mo Shu. Just like that, Mo Shu pressed his left hand on Dong Fang's body while his right hand took out the black Kirin. He aimed in Wang Jinyang's direction and gripped the hilt of his sword tightly. The black Kylin instantly extended. Mo Shu might not be able to catch up to Wang Jinyang, but the black Kylin could. Pucci. Black Kirin had pierced through Wang Jinyang. Mo Shu guessed that it was Wang Jinyang's abdomen. This was the first time Black Kirin had seen blood. Lu Ziyang and the others were shocked by this scene. A dagger that could bounce out like a bullet? He Lingyue was the most shocked. When Mo Shu bought the scabbard, she had looked at it the most carefully. At that time, she thought it was just an ordinary dagger. She didn't expect it to be so magical. Mo Shu saw that everyone was stunned on the spot and said helplessly, "What are you guys doing? Go and catch Wang Jinyang." By the time they realized that Wang Jinyang was too weak, his body had already slowly revealed itself. Mo Shu recalled the black Kirin and walked forward to check. Wang Jinyang lay on the ground and looked at Mo Shu with a pale face. "You win," she said weakly. "I still lost in terms of the setup. I almost let you escape." Wang Jinyang suddenly laughed maniacally, completely disregarding his injuries. "Ha ha ha, you have more trump cards than me, so you win. There was no such thing as a perfect setup in this world. There was only a perfect breaker." Mo Shu didn't answer Wang Jinyang because he didn't know how to answer. After Wang Jinyang finished speaking, he probably fainted due to excessive blood loss. Moxio began to arrange the work. "Hao Ren, Dong Fang, you two help him stop the bleeding and carry him to the car. Lu Ziyang, you contact the law enforcement team." The 3 of them got busy after receiving the order. He Lingyue leaned over and asked, "What about me? What should I do?" Mo Shu picked up the box on the ground and said, "Let's discuss what to do with this spirit-gathering grass." "What do you want?" He Lingyue asked with a smile. "Hand it over or keep it for yourself." "I'm inclined to stay. There won't be many rewards even if I hand it over." "Then what's there to discuss?" asked He Lingyue. "I agree with you. I mean, how should we split this? How do you want to split it?" "I want this grass." He Lingyue thought for a moment and said, "You're the commander of this mission and the one who contributed the most. I have no objections. You can ask the others." Mo Shu saw that the other 3 were busy and shook his head. "Let's talk about it after things are settled." Mo Shu walked to the car. He Lingyue caught up and whispered, "Mo Shu, how did you know that Wang Jinyang could turn invisible?" Mo Shu paused for a moment and turned to He Lingyue. Wang Jinyang can turn invisible. Didn't we discuss the worst-case scenario during the meeting? He Lingyue looked at Mo Shu meaningfully for a while before speaking. All the plans were for Wang Jinyang to become invisible. You're so rigorous. Mo Shu slapped his thigh and said, I really didn't think of that. Look. This is what I lack in the first place. Also, how can you be sure that Lu Ziyang can hold Wang Jinyang back with his skills? He Lingyue asked. You're not the kind of person who doesn't care about the safety of his teammates, right? After listening to He Lingyu's words, Mo Shu's expression was painful. He was just short of tears. This is indeed my mistake. I didn't consider this point. I only considered that Lu Ziyang could flash twice. He Lingyue wanted to continue, but Mo Shu interrupted, also, and the last mistake just now caused Wang Jinyang to almost run away. Sigh. This mission has exposed so many of my shortcomings. Next time, you can command. He Lingyue was confused by Mo Shu's words. She pointed at her nose and said, Me? What should I command? I want to ask. Mo Shu interrupted again. It seems like I'm not cut out to be a commander. You're more comprehensive than me. You can try commanding next time. Maybe you'll have better results. I don't want to. All right. Let's go back. He had gone back. Hand Wang Jinyang over to the law enforcement team, and we'll split the money. Mo Shu said as he walked away, leaving He Lingyue alone, stomping her feet in anger. Humph. Movie King Mo. The next morning, they returned to school after handing Wang Jinyang over to the law enforcement team. He didn't return to his dorm and went straight to the activity room of the strongest club. The mission had been completed, and the reward had been transferred into Moxia's account. Moxio distributed the rewards according to the distribution method they had discussed earlier. Then, he took out the spirit-gathering grass in a big bag and placed them on the table. Moxio said to the crowd, These are the spoils of war that we obtained this time. The mission stated that if we hand them in, we can obtain additional rewards. If we don't hand them in, these will be our rewards. Let's vote. Those who choose to hand them in raise their hands. Only Dong Fang raised his hand. Everyone looked at him in surprise. Dong Fang noticed that something was wrong with their gazes and asked, Why are you looking at me like that? The money that Wang Jinyang robbed from the bank must be returned to the bank. Lu Ziyang helped to explain, Big brother, you're mistaken. We accepted that the Dark Shadow is a relatively independent supervision department. Once something reaches the Dark Shadow, it basically won't be returned. That's right, He Lingyue added. That's why the mission didn't specify what to do with the spirit-gathering grass. Dong Fang thought for a while before he figured it out. I understand. You mean that although this thing is stolen, it was already legal when it was in our hands. When the law enforcement team handed the mission to Ying, they didn't want to find the lost item, right? Everyone, including Mo Shu, was somewhat surprised. Dong Fang had actually used his brain. Not only did he use his brain, but he had also thought it through very clearly. That's right, Moxio said. The choice now is whether to exchange for the reward or not. I don't have any idea yet, Hao Ren asked. Will the reward be greater than the value of these things? Lu Ziyang pursed his lips and said, According to Shadow's usual style, it's very difficult. Of course not, Dong Fang and Hao Ren said together. All right, Moxio said. Since you're not handing it over, let's discuss the distribution. Let me say this first. I really want this herb. Lu Ziyang had a strange look in his eyes. He smiled and said, Boss, in this mission and the previous mission, you said that you had a problem in that area, right? Is there really such a disease? Hearing this, Hao Ren and Dong Fang looked at Mo Shu strangely, and even He Lingyue stole glances at him. This made Moxio feel very awkward. He hurriedly explained, Don't talk nonsense. There's no such thing. Both times were required for missions. Hao Ren said generously, It doesn't matter. I'm not sick. Boss said that you can have the spirit-gathering herb. I have no objections. Lu Ziyang also said, Yes, boss. I have no objections. What about you, Dong Fang? Dong Fang immediately shook his head. He Lingyue looked at Mo Shu with some sympathy and said, I have no objections. Mo Shu, the spirit gathering. Grass is yours. The situation was out of control. Even if Zio explained now, it would be useless. She could only glare at Lu Ziyang. Lu Ziyang saw that the situation was not good and stood up to leave. Boss, I still have to attend the interclass competition later. I'll be leaving first. Seeing that Lu Ziyang was about to leave, the others all bid their farewells and wanted to leave to avoid making things awkward for Mo Shu. Wait a minute, we haven't finished distributing the loot yet, Moxio said helplessly. The four of them stopped in their tracks and looked at Mo Shu. Why hadn't they finished distributing the loot? Didn't they just obtain a spirit-gathering grass this time? Moxio pointed at the bag on the table and said, before handing Wang Jinyang over to the law enforcement team, I searched his things and found a key to the Fan Street Hotel. While you were busy, I went to the hotel alone and got this bag. No one was stupid. If the bag that Wang Jinyang had hidden in the hotel wasn't money, what else could it be? The few of them came over to look at Mo Shu. Mo Shu opened the bag and saw that it was filled with 100 yuan bills. Without counting, he knew that there should be a few million. Mo Shu continued, I took the spirit-gathering grass. I don't want you guys to split the money. In addition, I still have some savings. I've transferred 2 million to each of your accounts. Hearing Mo Shu's words, the few of them didn't hold back and started to count the numbers, preparing to split them. Moxio wasn't very generous because the value of the spirit-gathering grass was too high. Wang Jinyang's asking price was 100 million, which was definitely not very high. The market price was around this price. Even the black market wouldn't be less than 80 million. Moxio gave each of them 2 million yuan, a total of 8 million yuan. Adding on the money that he was given, he bought the herb for just over 10 million yuan. At this price, it was likely impossible to buy it anywhere else. Moxio had actually gotten a huge bargain. After a short while, the money was distributed and everyone left happily. Hao Ren and Lu Ziyang went to participate in the interclass competition while Ling Yue went back to her dorm to rest. After all, she had been staying up late for the past 3 days and hadn't had a good rest. Only Dong Fang and Mo Shu were left. Dong Fang's family was already in a difficult situation, perhaps even more so than Mo Shu's. He was a little excited to have earned so much money. Moxio, what are we going to do now? Let's go back and rest too. We'll take a nap first and see if there are any new missions at night. When Dong Fang heard that there was a new mission, his eyes lit up and he kept nodding. The two of them went to the bank first. Dong Fang couldn't wait to deposit the money and send it to his mother. Looking at Dong Fang, Mo Shu thought of his mother, Li Yuan. He had been here for so many days, but he had not called his mother. He had only told her that he was safe when he first arrived at school. While waiting for Dong Fang, Mo Shu called Li Yuan. His mother was still as easygoing as ever. He could tell that she missed him a lot, but she did not express it. Her mother was going to work in the next few days, and everything was going well. After hanging up, Moxio also checked his balance. He only had less than 1 million left. The expenses during this period were relatively large. Buying a house, plus the 8 million he had just given, and the 1 million he had left for his mother when he left Shun City. Now, it could be said that he did not have much money left after returning to his original state overnight. It seemed that he had to take on a few more missions to earn some money. Dong Fang had also saved his money, but the big guy actually cried. What's wrong? Asked Mo Shu. Dong Fang cried and said, just now, mother, when I called, my mom said that if he was successful and could earn money, his family would not have to suffer. The days passed. My mother cried, and so did I. Mo Shu could empathize with Dong Fang's feelings. He comforted Dong Fang all the way back to the dormitory. Once he returned to his room, Moxio immediately fell asleep. He had expended a lot of energy in the past 3 days. Whether it was his body or his brain, he needed a good rest. In the evening, Moxio was woken up by his phone ringing. Hello? Mo Shu, what illness are you suffering from? Is it serious? Zheng Yi, what illness do I have? Mo Shu looked at the time. It was only 5 in the afternoon. Don't hide the truth from me. If there's anything, just say it. All right, I'm quite tired. I'll sleep first. I'm fine. Bye. Mo Shu. Mo Shu. Mo Shu hung up and wanted to continue sleeping, but his phone rang again. Mo Shu picked up the phone and said, I already said I'm fine. Aren't you annoyed? Mo Shu. Do you find me annoying? Hearing this voice, Mo Shu immediately woke up. He glanced at the phone. It was Mu Qingyi. Ah, Qingyi? I thought it was Zheng Yi. Why? You suddenly called. The other end of the phone was silent for a while before Mo Shu asked a shocking question. Mo Shu, are you really sick in that area? Moxio reacted to the question for a second. Ah, Mu Qingyi asked. What's wrong with the other two? What happened? Qingyi, who did you hear that from? There's no such thing. Lu Ziyang's moments. Is he really fine? Mo Shu assured. Of course it's okay. Lu Ziyang is talking nonsense. I have to find him to talk. Haha, all right then. It's fine. Qingyi, are you really concerned about this? Mo Shu asked strangely. No, I was afraid that you were sick, so I called to ask you. If you make fun of me like this, I won't ask again. Is that really the case? All right. I have something to do here. Bye. Mu Qingyi quickly hung up the phone, and Mo Shu looked at the phone and laughed foolishly. After being disturbed by the continuous calls, Mo Shu no longer felt sleepy. Recalling Mu Qingyi's words just now, he scrolled through his moments. Lu Ziyang. Boss really has that kind of illness. Sigh, I pray that boss can be cured. Mo Shu was furious. Not only did Lu Ziyang spread rumors, but he also posted it on his moments to announce it to the world. Even Mo Shu couldn't take it anymore and gave Lu Ziyang a call. Hello? Boss, what's wrong? Is there a new mission? Nothing, I just wanted to talk to you. I'll see you at the 5th training field. What? Now? Right now? Mo Shu hung up the phone. Lu Ziyang was a little puzzled. Martial arts field number 5? When Lu Ziyang arrived at the training grounds, he discovered that Mo Shu was already waiting there. Boss, what did you want to talk to me about? Why did you choose this place? Let's go. I've booked a private room for practicing martial arts. Let's go in and talk. After Mo Shu finished speaking, he walked in front of him. Lu Ziyang followed him in a daze. Lu Ziyang only realized that something was wrong when Mo Shu locked the door. Boss, what are you doing? Moxio said with a kind smile, else nothing. It's been a long time since the two of us sparred, right? This time, the old and new scores were all together. No, since our skills have leveled up, we should spar. Lu Ziyang swallowed his saliva and took a step back. Boss, there's no need to spar. I can't beat you. I admit defeat, okay? That's not right. Have you forgotten the first lesson that teacher Wang Lei taught us? We aren't afraid of strong enemies. The two of us sparring is to learn from each other. Where did the idea of admitting defeat come from? Lu Ziyang wanted to continue declining, but Mo Shu didn't give him the chance. He immediately activated the descent of the martial god and charged at Lu Ziyang. He suddenly stopped halfway, making Lu Ziyang extremely nervous. You prefer to use daggers. Shall we compete with weapons? Moxio stopped and said. Lu Ziyang shook his head in fear as the image of the terrifying black qilin that pierced through Wang Jinyang appeared in his mind. Oh, then let's begin. Under the buff of the descent of the martial god, Mo Shu's speed was extremely fast. Even Lu Ziyang, who was known for his speed, could not compare to him. In an instant, he arrived in front of Lu Ziyang and punched his face. Lu Ziyang could only activate his skill, Afterimage, to dodge. Lu Ziyang didn't appear behind Mo Shu, but rather appeared in the distance. It wasn't that Lu Ziyang didn't want to attack, but he had experienced Mo Shu's inhuman reaction speed. If he were to launch a sneak attack, he would definitely be beaten up. Boss, are you serious? Lu Ziyang said after he appeared. Moxio didn't reply and continued to attack. Lu Ziyang, who had received the skill buff, was much faster. He now had the leeway to deal with Moxio. However, it was only 2 moves. How terrifying was Mo Shu's actual combat? That was something that even Wang Lei was a little afraid of. Lu Ziyang was an assassin. An assassin was fighting a warrior in close combat. Moreover, he did not even have the advantage in speed. There was no way to fight. The third move forced out Lu Ziyang's second skill. This time, Lu Ziyang appeared near the door. That's right. Lu Ziyang didn't want to continue this unfair sparring session and wanted to escape. However, how could Mo Shu give him such a chance? He quickly caught up to Lu Ziyang and punched him. Lu Ziyang staggered from the blow, and then faced Mo Shu's storm-like punches. Boss, I admit defeat. What is it? You still want to fight? Good. No, I said I admit defeat. What? You still want to continue? All right. 5 minutes later, Lu Ziyang was sprawled on the ground with his hands on his head. Mo Shu stood at the side with his hands on his hips. Boss, tell me, how did I offend you? Lu Ziyang said weakly. Stop spreading rumors about me being sick, do you hear me? Lu Ziyang raised 3 fingers and said, Lu Ziyang, swear that I will keep the secret for boss. Mo Shu's face instantly darkened. What did he mean by keeping a secret? He twisted his neck and gave him another round of beating. Lu Ziyang's scream echoed throughout the private room. Boss, I've already sworn. What else do you want me to do? At night, Mo Shu returned to his dorm after his exercise. Now, regardless of whether Lu Ziyang believed that he was not sick, he would not continue to spread rumors. He opened Lu Ziyang's moments and found that the post had been deleted. Mo Shu smiled in satisfaction. The next thing to do was to take the medicine. He had not eaten the precious spirit-gathering grass yet. The value of the spirit-gathering grass might not be as high as the spirit ring in the eyes of some people, but it was extremely useful for Moxio. Moxio persisted in training, but he realized that his strength and speed had not improved for a long time. It was as if he had reached a bottleneck. This question had troubled Mo Shu for a few days until he saw the spirit-gathering grass. Little Mo Shu had never eaten any herbs since he was young. He had only been able to reach his current physical strength because he had put in more effort than others. Hard work could determine the speed of a person's development, and potential was the deciding factor in determining the height of development. After so many years of hard work, Moxio had used up all of his potential. No matter how hard he trained, it would be very difficult for him to improve further. The only way was to increase his body's potential and increase his upper limit. Due to the war god's descent, the better Moxia's base was, the stronger his skills would be. That was why Mo Shu was determined to get the spirit-gathering grass this time. Mo Shu had searched the internet for many ways to consume the spirit-gathering grass. In the end, he came to the conclusion that the main effect of the spirit-gathering grass was that it contained a large amount of energy and could completely change one's physique. The best way was to swallow it whole, because any method used to process it would cause energy loss. What was even more ridiculous was that there was a detailed comparison on the internet between swallowing the spirit-gathering grass in one mouthful and eating it in 2 portions. They calculated the amount of energy that would be lost. Mo Shu couldn't understand it, but he felt that it was very impressive. Mo Shu looked at the fist-sized spirit-gathering grass and felt a headache. How was he going to swallow it? After playing chess with the spirit-gathering grass for half an hour, Mo Shu made up his mind and grabbed the spirit-gathering grass and stuffed it into his mouth. Mo Shu endured the pain and stuffed the spirit-gathering grass into his mouth. He felt as if the corner of his mouth was about to tear. She tried to close her mouth, but she realized that she couldn't close it no matter what. She could only cover her mouth with her hands. He chewed with difficulty in his mouth and only swallowed after a while. Taste? It was no different from eating grass. A bitter taste rose from his heart to the tip of his tongue. Not long after, he felt a warm sensation in his abdomen. Mo Shu sat cross-legged and closed his eyes to feel the warmth. He tried his best to guide the warmth to flow through his entire body. This process was very long. When Moxio felt the warmth disappear and opened his eyes, it was already 9 o'clock the next morning. After checking his body, he found that other than his skin getting better, there were no other changes. Moxio sighed. The novels say that removing the impurities in the body will expel a lot of filth. I even deliberately meditated on the ground to avoid dirtying the bedsheets. It seems like they were all lies. Mo Shu walked out of the room and realized that Dong Fang wasn't there. He didn't know what he had gone out to do. After looking around, they found that there was nothing to eat. Some of them were hungry, so they had to go to the canteen by themselves. Coincidentally, he bumped into Xiao Hong at the entrance of the cafeteria. Mo Shu wanted to greet her, but just as he raised his right hand, he wanted to say hello. Xiao Hong's sharp gaze swept past Mo Shu and she walked past him with quick steps. When she reached Mo Shu's side, she snorted coldly. Mo Shu's right hand froze. After Xiao Hong walked past, he scratched his head awkwardly. Why was this woman so domineering? He couldn't possibly vent his anger on her just because he had a grudge against Lu Ziyang, right? Moxio shook his head and walked into the cafeteria to have a simple bite. Then, he rushed to the number 5 training field. There were 15 training grounds in the entire Yanjing University. Mo Shu loved this number 5, not because of anything else, but because it was the cheapest training ground in the entire university. The other venues were different. Some had advanced equipment, while others were similar to the helmet simulation venues used during the college entrance examination. It was said that the best simulation field could simulate a perfect opponent, which could help students improve even more than actual combat. However, the price was naturally not cheap. Moxio also wanted to see it, but with the current economic strength. After entering martial arts field number 5, Mo Shu went to the front desk and rented a private room for the physical assessment. In fact, the hall of every stadium was free of charge. However, out of consideration for keeping a low profile and measuring accuracy, Moxio still chose a private room. He took the key and entered the private room. This private room was the most ordinary. The facilities inside were very simple. There were props for training strength, a special treadmill, and instruments for measuring strength and speed. Moxio wasn't in a hurry to measure it. He first stood on the treadmill and started running. This was to adapt to the body's sudden increase in physique. Only after the whole body could coordinate and exert strength could the test be carried out. Only then could the real data be tested. Moxio first ran at his usual speed, then slowly increased his speed, getting faster and faster. He hadn't reached full speed yet, and the treadmill was already unable to keep up with Moxio's speed. Moxio walked off the treadmill in disappointment. It seemed like he would have to rent a better room if he wanted to train in the future. Since he could not force himself to his limit, he could only brace himself and test it. The first was the speed test. Moxio had used his full strength this time, and his coordination was quite good. He should be able to get a more accurate number. 4 to 988 s in the past, Moxio would not even dare to think of reaching 100 meters in less than 5 seconds. He never expected a single herb to have such a huge improvement. If that was the case, Mo Shu knew that there would be a huge gap between him and a true genius. A truly big family would have endless resources from a young age. They might not care about the results of the college entrance examination and would directly be specially recruited by the university, or they might not even go to university at all and would be better off staying in the family. Next was the strength test. Moxio followed the previous method of exerting strength and focused all his strength on his fist. The strength test wasn't as smooth as the speed test. The first time he exerted force, he wasn't complete. 425 to 786 kilograms. Moxio frowned. Compared to his speed, his strength didn't increase much. Again. Bang. 457 to 325 kilograms. He was a little better, but he was still not in his best condition. Bang. 487 to 352 kilograms again. Bang. 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 503.254 kilograms. After another dozen punches, his punch strength finally exceeded 500 kilograms. Moxio smiled in satisfaction. At this moment, someone knocked on the door of the private room and a voice came from outside. Students inside, don't use too much testing equipment. If you want to train, don't you have training equipment inside? Only then did Mo Shu react. He had already tested it dozens of times. I'm sorry, I forgot for a while. He didn't hear any response. The patrol must have left after warning him. The improvement this time was huge. With his current physical strength and the descent of the martial god, Mo Shu was confident that he could fight Wang Lei to a draw. After eating the spirit-gathering grass, his potential should have increased. Mo Shu was most happy that he could continue to improve. Moxio wanted to continue training, but he gave up after looking at the training equipment in the room. These equipment were not enough to support his training, so he could only give up. He had to find a way to earn money. Even the simplest private room like this cost 1,000 yuan a day. Mo Shu walked out of martial arts field number 5 and went straight back to his dormitory. He realized that Dong Fang had not returned yet. He took out his phone and started to study the mission. After lying down, he felt something pressing against him. After feeling what it was, Moxio slapped his head. How could he have forgotten about this? What he touched was the pistol he had bought from the black market. Mo Shu had never seen a firearm before, so he didn't know how lethal this pistol was. He decided to give it a try. Mo Shu arrived at the back of the mountain alone and pulled the trigger. No reaction? After studying it for a while, he still couldn't use it. Moxio was a little angry. This shop owner was scamming him. This was completely fake. He thought that he had discovered something incredible. Mo Shu threw it onto the ground. He used quite a bit of strength, and the pistol hit the rock. Moxio heard the strange sound and picked it up again. He leaned his face forward and casually pulled the trigger. Bang! The bullet brushed past Moxio's face. Moxio looked at the pistol with lingering fear. Fortunately, it was not aimed at him just now, otherwise, he would have died young. After studying it for a while, he realized that a pistol needed to be loaded before it could be used. Mo Shu still wanted to continue testing the power of the pistol, but it was a little inconvenient for him. After thinking for a moment, he still called Dong Fang over. After Dong Fang went up the mountain, he jogged all the way to Mo Shu. Mo Shu, what's wrong? When I woke up this morning, I saw that you weren't awake yet, so I went out to find my former classmates for dinner. Do you remember this? Mo Shu handed the pistol to Dong Fang. I remember. I bought it from the black market. What did you say it was? Firearms? Mo Shu retreated more than 10 meters and said, come on. Ah! Dong Fang was stunned. What did this mean? Mo Shu activated the descent of the martial god and taught Dong Fang how to load the gun. Boss, are we really aiming at you? What if you can't dodge it? Cut the crap. Hurry up and aim. Moxia's attention was highly focused as he stared at the muzzle of the gun. Bang! The bullets flew out, and Moxio reacted to the limit. The moment he saw the bullets appear, he started to move. After dodging the bullet, Mo Shu fell into deep thought while Dong Fang was stunned. After a while, Dong Kai finally reacted and asked, Mo Shu, your reaction is so fast. If it were me, I definitely wouldn't be able to dodge it. This thing is too scary. I did a rough calculation. I still had some energy left for the 10 meters distance just now. If I were to suddenly be shot within 3 meters, I would definitely be hit without being prepared. DMN, why don't we hand him over? It's too dangerous. Come, shoot at me again and see how powerful it is, said Moxio. With the previous test, Dong Fang quickly got into the zone and fired a shot at Mo Shu. This time, after Moxio dodged the bullet, his right hand turned into a knife and slashed at the bullet. However, the bullet was still too fast, and it brushed past Mo Shu's palm. Mo Shu raised his right hand. He was injured, although it was only a light injury. However, this was Moxia's defense when he activated his skill. Even with all his attributes increased by 300%, he would still be injured. It was a little scary to think about it. When a skill was activated, an ordinary person could assassinate him. If an ordinary pistol could have such lethality, what about other weapons? Moxio finally understood why the Alliance banned firearms. The lethality of firearms to wild beasts was limited, but it was a great threat to humans. During the period of civil strife, there must be some people who wanted to use firearms to rule the entire human race. In order to preserve powerful humans to deal with wild beasts, the Alliance had no choice but to ban firearms. Mo Shu took the pistol from Dong Fang's hand. Such a weapon might not be able to cause any harm to a warrior like him, but it was definitely very easy to deal with ordinary people, including his mother, Li Yuan. At the thought of this, Moxio could no longer remain calm. He took out his phone, opened the Shadow app, and chose to create a mission, firearms investigation. Since they had decided to investigate this matter, Mo Shu and Dong Fang returned to Fan Street's black market that night to investigate. The result was shocking. Almost every stall owner had firearms at different prices. All of them were handguns, and they were exactly the same as the one in Moxia's hand. When asked about the source, everyone's answer was surprisingly consistent. One night, they picked it up when they entered the black market. Everyone who saw it at that time received a handful. This wasn't a secret, and Moxio didn't spend much effort to find out where the guns were found. Mo Shu and Dong Fang hurried to the place. There was indeed a large cloth bag that had been torn apart and scattered all over the ground. However, there was nothing unusual in other places. This place was not accessible even by car. Let's split up and look around. Pay attention to the details of the surroundings. Dong Fang knew that this was no small matter, so he nodded seriously. Good. An hour later, the two met again. How is it? Mo Shu asked. Dong Fang shook his head. Mo Shu sighed. Sigh, the clues are gone. Those stall owners didn't seem to be lying, but there are no clues here. There are no traces around. Could it be that this pistol came from the sky? As Moxio spoke, he raised his head to look at the sky. For some reason, the Demon Hawk's figure flashed across his mind. Shaking his head, he said, How can one? What did you say, Mo Shu? Asked Dong Fang. What should we do now? The clues are broken. Let's go back first. After a day of trouble today, this matter is over? It's not over. No matter who put the gun here, they must have a purpose. Let's wait and see what this person wants to do next. July 16th. Today was the 15th day of school, and also the day of the faculty selection. In the 10 days after the investigation of firearms was fruitless, Moxio contacted the other members of the strongest society and prepared to accept another mission. Hao Ren and Lu Ziyang were at the critical stage of the interclass competition, and they didn't want to be affected. He Ling Yue couldn't follow the mission because of her personal matters, so only Mo Shu and Dong Fang were left. The number of missions that the two of them could take on was much lower, and Moxio wasn't going to force them. He would take on a D rank or a C rank. Mission with lower difficulty every day. After completing the mission, Moxio would still have free time to train. The past 10 days had been very fulfilling, and he had accumulated some wealth. All the points belonged to Mo Shu, and most of the cash was given to Dong Fang. However, Mo Shu still had more than 4 million in his bank account. In private room number 1 of training field number 3, Mo Shu and Dong Fang had arrived early. Today was the day of the faculty selection. After half a month, they could finally continue the competition. All the 5 members of the strongest club, except for Hao Ren, entered the selection. Hao Ren was upset for a few days and complained to Moxio. Moxio was annoyed and gave Hao Ren a task to recruit the 6th member of the strongest club. The requirement was a contestant who had advanced to the inter-faculty competition. This requirement greatly increased the difficulty. Generally, such experts had already been absorbed by the major clubs. Even if there were some independent people, why would they come to the strongest club, which only had 5 people? Hao Ren knew that it would be difficult, but he had something to do, so he didn't bother Mo Shu anymore. Because the venue was very big and there were many people, Mo Shu and Dong Fang walked around a few times before they noticed He Ling Yue and class president Mu. Miu Miu had not seen Mo Shu and Dong Fang for a long time, so he greeted them warmly. You two are here? Ling Yue and I have been looking for you. Mo Shu said, We're also looking for you. The time is up, but the teacher hasn't arrived yet. We don't know which teacher is more unreliable than our form teacher. Miu Miu covered her mouth and said with a smile, Mo Shu, didn't you see the list at the door? Mo Shu shook his head and looked at Dong Fang. Dong Fang still had that simple and honest look on his face as he spread his hands, indicating that he didn't know. He Ling Yue sighed and said, The person in charge of the selection is our class teacher, Teacher Cao Fenglin. Mo Shu was stunned for a moment. That's not right. At the interclass competition, from Teacher Cao's tone, she shouldn't be in charge of the selection within the faculty. The few of them looked at Miu Miu, thinking that this class monitor would know something. Miu Miu said innocently, Don't look at me. I'm the same as you. I haven't seen my teacher in half a month. Several people are talking about the time when the sound of the door comes from the door. Cough cough, everyone, split up into groups according to your class. Class 1, stand at the front and line up in order. Who else could this lazy voice be but Cao Fenglin? Mo Shu looked over and saw Cao Fenglin holding a megaphone and speaking to everyone. After everyone reacted for a second, the students of Class 1 took the lead and stood at the front. The others stood in line according to their class and soon formed a neat line. Cao Fenglin spoke into the loudspeaker, I received the notice at the last minute. I'm in charge of the selection. Some of you should have heard of the selection methods used in the past. However, I'm the one organizing this time. We'll have to do it my way. Everyone was silent as they listened carefully to the rules of the competition. 11 T Nair or no Omeklons, one will take it TNAT you agree WITN my rules. My rules are very simple. The support system is the smallest system, and there are only 16 classes. When the students of Class 1 and Class 16 heard their names, they stepped out and stood at the position pointed out by Sao Fenglin. Class 2 and Class 15, Class 3 and Class 14, Class 4 and Class 13. Mo Shu was from Class 6, so he was naturally assigned to Class 11. What was surprising was that all 4 of Class 11 were girls. Just when everyone thought that Sao Fenglin would split everyone into groups for the team battle, Sao Fenglin didn't disappoint Moxio. His words were shocking, and the way he fought was terrifyingly casual. A total of 4 students from the support department will be selected for the solo competition, as well as 2 groups of 5 people. Now, we will form a group of 8. Class 1 and Class 16 will have a one-on-one elimination match, and so on. You can decide who will compete with who. If you can't decide, you can play rock, paper, scissors. 4 people will be eliminated, and the remaining 4 will become the new Class 1. Tomorrow, the new Class 1 and the new Class 8 will have a one-on-one elimination match. The rules will be the same. You will choose your opponent. The day after tomorrow, the new Class 1 will have a duel with the new Class 4, and the day after tomorrow, the new Class 1 will have a duel with the new Class 2. Everyone was dumbfounded. It was simply perfunctory. Didn't you hear what I said? Do you understand? Sao Fenglin finally raised his voice, causing everyone to regain their senses. Understood. All right, if you understand, then stop wasting time. Let's start the competition, starting from the first group. The first group consisted of Class 1 and Class 16. The 8 of them came to the center of the field and were a little confused. They had to choose who to fight with. How could they choose? It had been half a month since the start of the semester, and everyone knew who was stronger. At this time, no one wanted to face the strongest, so they were stuck in a stalemate. Sao Fenglin's patience was limited. After waiting for 10 minutes, there was still no response from the 8 of them. He raised his megaphone and said, "Divide into groups according to where you are standing now. 2 people face each other and form a group. The first group will start with the stupid kid." The 2 classes stood face to face. According to Sao Fenglin, they were indeed divided into groups. The first group began the competition. Both of them had amplification skills, and their strength was relatively similar. They fought for a long time without determining the winner. In the end, it was only when one of the students' skills went on cooldown that the other took the opportunity to attack fiercely that the outcome was decided. The match had lasted for nearly 20 minutes. Sao Fenglin was clearly getting impatient. After the competition ended, he said, "Everyone, move out of the way. The remaining 3 pairs will compete together. The next competition will be the same. The 4 groups of the 2 classes will compete at the same time." The morning passed very quickly. Whether it was the competition or watching the competition, it was not boring. The 4 groups were competing at the same time, and the competition process was much faster. In the morning, there were already 8 classes participating in the competition. Moxia's Class 6 should be able to compete in the afternoon. In the afternoon, Mo Shu and the others went to the cafeteria for lunch. "What's the name of the club you've established, Mo Shu?" Miu Miu asked curiously. "How's the development going? How many people were there?" "I was recruited by the Vermilion Bird Society, or else I would definitely have joined." It was obvious that Miu Miu felt guilty. She was the only one who didn't join Mo Shu's club. Without waiting for Mo Shu to speak, Dongfang said, "He, our strongest club was founded with 5 people, and we still have 5 people now." "The strongest club?" Miu Miu asked doubtfully. "Are you that confident? But I'm asking for your name?" Dongfang and He Lingyue looked at Mo Shu together, wanting him to explain. Mo Shu spread his hands and said, "The club's name is the strongest club. The number is 666. You can check it out." Miu Miu was a little stunned. Mo Shu was a very low-key person. His strength could be said to be one of the best in the support class. He was very famous in the class. However, he had never seen Mo Shu show off before. Why would he come up with such a name to attract hatred? "Ah, the strongest club?" Miu Miu said awkwardly. "It's quite nice." He Lingyue could see that Miu Miu was trying to hide her embarrassment, so she braced herself and praised him. "Miu Miu Miu, it's okay. I want to laugh, I don't have a way, anyway, I already have this name." Miu Miu had always been straightforward. When he heard He Lingyu's words and looked at Mo Shu and Dong Fang's half-smiling faces, he laughed heartily. Ha ha ha, Moxio. Why did you come up with such a name? My strength doesn't allow me to keep a low profile anymore. The few of them spent their lunch break chatting and laughing. He returned to the number 1 private room of the number 3 martial arts field and prepared for the afternoon competition. In front of Mo Shu's Class 6 was the battle between Class 5 and Class 12. The strength of Class 5 was extremely strong. 3 students won with an overwhelming advantage, and the other student met the strongest person of Class 12 and lost after half an hour of fierce battle. The next group, Class 6 and Class 11, quickly enter the arena to choose your opponents. Cao Fenglin sat on the chair and placed a hand on his cheek as he spoke impatiently. 8 people entered. Class 11 was full of girls, while Class 6 had Mo Shu and Dong Fang, 2 boys. Moxio himself was 1.8 meters tall, and he stood out among the 8 of them. There was no need to talk about Dong Fang. He could crush Mo Shu, let alone a girl. It gave people the feeling that Class 6 was bullying them. Seeing that no one spoke, Mo Shu was afraid that Cao Fenglin would make the decision to arrange another battle. He suggested, "How about this? The 2 girls in our class will choose their opponents, and the remaining 2 in your class will choose the 2 boys. How about that?" This plan seemed unfair, but since no one in Class 11 was particularly strong. Miu Miu and He Lin's view didn't choose the weak one. It was basic all via matter of luck for Dong Fang and Mo Shu to defeat the strong one. The 4 students of Class 6 naturally supported Moxia's suggestion. The 4 girls of Class 11 whispered to each other for a while before nodding in agreement. Miu Miu was straightforward, and He Lingyue wasn't one to drag her feet either. The 2 of them quickly chose their opponents. The remaining 2 people were not disappointed that they were going to fight a boy. Instead, one of them was filled with excitement. Moxio took a closer look. This girl was very petite and should be around 160 centimeters tall. Her figure was well proportioned, and it was obvious that she trained frequently. It was the remaining 2 girls of Class Il's turn to choose their opponents. After the 2 of them looked at each other, the petite girl pointed at Mo Shu and said, "Mo Shu, I know you're strong, I want to challenge you." Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Although Mo Shu kept a low profile, his identity as the top scorer of the college entrance examination could not be hidden. Everyone knew that there was a boy called Mo Shu. He had an offensive skill, but he had registered as a support type. Everyone avoided him as much as possible. They did not expect this unknown little girl to dare challenge Mo Shu. After all, Yanjing University's competition system was very complete. The results obtained at the end of each academic year would be recorded in the file. When they graduated, major companies and departments would consider whether to hire them based on their results. The treatment given to those who had just advanced to the top 10 of the selection was completely different. No one wanted to waste this opportunity and try their best to get a higher ranking. And this girl had taken the risk and chosen Mo Shu. Moxio narrowed his eyes. He couldn't figure out why this girl had chosen him. Could it be that she had a good relationship with the girl beside her and didn't want her friend to face a strong enemy? It didn't look like it. Cao Fenglin laughed playfully and picked up the loudspeaker. "All right, the groups are divided. The competition begins." The 4 groups came to their respective fields. The field was 50 meters square. The rules of victory and defeat were either out of the circle or losing combat power. Moxio had long known about this rule. It was a commonly used rule in all major competitions in society. After entering the arena, the other 3 groups quickly entered the competition. Mo Shu didn't move because he could tell that the other party had something to say. "My name is Yang Qingzhou. Remember my name." "I'll remember that. I'm very curious as to why you chose to challenge me." "You'll know in a while. We'll talk about it halfway through the game." "Interesting. Then let's begin." Moxio smiled. Mo Shu was stunned halfway through his sentence. He had activated God's snooping while he was speaking and was stunned by Yang Qingzhuo's skill. Skill 1. Godly Speed 3, Skill Effect. Increases speed by 800% on any target. When used on 2 targets at the same time, increases speed by 400%. When used on 3 targets at the same time, increases speed by 267%. When used on 4 targets at the same time, increases speed by 200%. At the same time, when using a skill, the number of targets can be adjusted at will. Duration: 10 minutes, cooldown time: 12 hours. This was the first time Mathio had seen a level 3 skill. Without a doubt, Yang Qingzhou was a support, a top-grade support. His speed alone had reached an astonishing 800%. Manzil's gaze gradually turned Jerry 0. He knew that he had encountered powerful enemy. "Shall we begin?" Yang Qingzhou asked. Maxio made an inviting gesture and said, "Let's begin." As soon as the two words were spoken, the two of them activated their skills at the same time. It was obvious that neither of them had underestimated the other. Mo Shu was the first to attack. He was extremely fast and appeared in front of Yang Qingzhou in an instant. Yang Qingzhou's punch missed and he disappeared. Mo Shu instantly turned around and blocked Yang Qingzhou's sneak attack. Yang Qingzhou didn't disappear just now, but he was so fast that Mo Shu couldn't see all of his movements clearly. This was the first time Mo Shu had felt a sense of danger when facing someone his age. This speed was very troublesome. If Yang Qingzhou could break through his defense, it would be a tough battle. Mo Shu was glad that weapons were not allowed in Yanjing University's competitions. If Yang Qingzhou had a sharp dagger in his hand, he would be like a tiger with wings. Yang Qingzhou fought aggressively. He stayed by Mo Shu's side and waited for an opportunity to strike. From time to time, he would give a few quick punches. He did not linger in the battle and would retreat after the fight. Yang Qingzhou was not only fast, but also agile. She was very agile. Even though Mo Shu's reaction speed was extremely fast, he was unable to hit Yang Qingzhou. With his small body and nimble steps, he dodged cleverly. Mo Shu had intentionally revealed his flaws many times to lure Yang Qingzhou, but Yang Qingzhou was very smart and never fell for it. Fortunately, Yang Qingzhou had a fatal weakness, which was that his attack power was not enough to break through Maxia's strong defense. If they continued fighting like this, they could only wait until the cooldown of their skills ended before deciding the outcome. Maxio knew that Yang Qingzhou's skill had a duration of 10 minutes. If both of them used their skills at the same time, it would enter the cooldown period at the same time. Without any skills, Maxio was confident that he could take down Yang Qingzhou. The two continued to fight. Mo Shu attacked, but Yang Qingzhou dodged. Yang Qingzhou attacked, but Mo Shu blocked them all. Maxio didn't have the advantage in speed, but his reaction speed was very fast. He could block every attack. Although Mo Shu predicted that Yang Qingzhou would not be able to break through his defenses, he still blocked all of his attacks out of caution. At this moment, the other three groups had already decided the victor. The three people from Class 6 had undoubtedly won and advanced. Everyone was sighing at the strength of Class 6, and very few people paid attention to Maxio. When the other three matches ended, all eyes were on Mo Shu and Yang Qingzhou. At this time, everyone was shocked. The competition that they thought was the least suspense had actually reached the end. When they took a closer look at the scene, everyone was stunned. Of course, Dong Fang and the others were also paying attention to the competition. "Where's that girl?" Dong Fang asked He Lingyue. Why was there only Mo Shu on the field? Miu Miu also looked curiously at the stage. Because Yang Qingzhou was too fast, most people could only see Mo Shu moving at a very fast speed. There was only a black shadow beside Mo Shu. He Lingyue sighed. "It's too fast. This person is too fast. Look at that black shadow. It's that girl." When He Lingyue said this, everyone was shocked. What? There was actually someone who could be this fast? Mo Shu is so powerful, Dong Fang said foolishly. "Dong Fang, are you alright?" Miu Miu asked in surprise. Looking at Mo Shu's current state, he should be on par with that girl. "That's right," He Lingyue interjected. "It's because of this that Mo Shu is so powerful. Mo Shu's speed is far inferior to that girl's, but look at Mo Shu's movements. He seems to have blocked all the attacks." Hearing He Lingyu's words, Miu Miu looked at Mo Shu thoughtfully. The more he looked at Maxio, the weirder his actions became. His body was almost motionless, but at a certain moment, he suddenly made a strange movement. It seemed like he was really blocking the attack, but how was this possible? How could he block the attack of an afterimage? Mo Shu gradually became familiar with Yang Qingzuo's rhythm. His counterattacks gradually increased, and he almost hit Yang Qingzuo several times. Moxia's expression changed from seriousness to excitement. This was a good opportunity to train. It was not easy to encounter an opponent who was much faster than him. Mo Shu threw another punch. This time, it hit Yang Qingzuo, but was blocked by him. After calculating the time, Mo Shu realized that there were still 2 to 3 minutes before the cooldown. He couldn't help but feel that it was a pity. If it had been a little longer, he should have been able to capture Yang Qingzuo. At this moment, Yang Qingzuo suddenly stopped running and stood where he was. The others saw the shadow disappear and Yang Qingzuo appeared. Yang Qingzuo's expression changed. He was no longer as confident as before. Instead, his brows were furrowed with a hint of joy. Mo Shu was dumbfounded. Why was this person so strange? He was about to lose, but he was happy instead. Mo Shu didn't take the opportunity to attack. He just stood there and wanted to see what Yang Qingzuo wanted to do. Yang Qingzuo's brows relaxed and a bright smile appeared on his face. I really didn't choose wrongly. Mo Shu raised his eyebrows, not understanding what Yang Qingzuo meant. Yang Qingzuo walked up to Mo Shu step by step. The distance between them was less than a meter. Come and feel my skill, then we'll continue talking. Mo Shu was still thinking about the meaning behind Yang Qingzuo's words when suddenly, a green light flashed under his feet. Mo Shu felt his entire body become lighter. Yang Qingzuo's skill could increase the number of targets he could hit at any time. In other words, when Yang Qingzuo used his skill on Moxio, his speed would increase by 400% when he hit 2 targets. Mo Shu was still feeling the condition of his body when Yang Qingzuo threw a punch at him. Moxio dodged lightly and actually managed to dodge 5 to 6 meters away. Wasn't this amplification a little too obvious? Looking at Yang Qingzuo's figure, Mo Shu finally understood why Yang Qingzuo wanted to challenge him and why he was so confident. This was because Yang Qingzuo's goal was not to defeat Mo Shu, but to join him. Mo Shu stood still as Yang Qingzuo approached. Punch. It was aimed at Moxia's abdomen, but it stopped the moment it was about to hit him. Why didn't you dodge? Yang Qingzuo asked. Because you won't let me lose. You don't want me to lose. You want me to keep winning. Yang Qingzuo smiled again. With his small figure and delicate face, he looked quite cute when he smiled. It seems that you are not only talented in combat. I made the right choice. Mo Shu looked at Yang Qingzuo and said, I'm glad you chose me. Yang Qingzuo raised his right pinky and said, then it's settled. Mo Shu laughed out loud. This woman was quite childish. She actually wanted to pull the pinky. No matter what he was thinking, Mo Shu still hooked his pinky to Yang Qingzuo. Cao Fenglin was a little disappointed when he saw this scene. He raised his megaphone and shouted, are the two of you dating here? Why? Is it a draw? The scene on the field was very strange. Mo Shu smiled and pointed at Yang Qingzuo. No, teacher. She admitted defeat. I won. Everyone was shocked. He said that his opponent admitted defeat? Not bad. Yang Qingzuo said with a grin. I admit defeat. What the hell? What kind of competition was this? Dong Fang looked at Mo Shu with admiration. He whispered, awesome. You won the competition and even got yourself a cute girl. You're competing to pick up girls. It's a brand new method. Amidst the shock of the entire audience, the match between Class 6 and Class 11 ended. In the end, all 4 people from Class 6 advanced. The 4 people from the original Class 6, Mo Shu, Dong Fang, Miu Miu, and He Lingyue, formed the new Class 6. The students below the stage were in a commotion because the match between Mo Shu and Yang Qingzuo was too strange. It started inexplicably, and the shocking process ended in a blur. Mo Shu left the stage and returned to Dong Fang and the others. Dong Fang hugged Mo Shu and said, Boss Mo, you're too awesome. You can even pick up girls in a competition. How did you do it? Why didn't I realize that you were so powerful in the past? You know why I applied for the support system? Hurry up and teach me a few moves. In the future, you will be my boss. No. Idle. What do you know? Mo Shu snapped. That girl named Yang Qingzuo has foresight. At this moment, He Lingyue and Mumu also walked over. They were curious about Yang Qingzuo's foresight. Now, everyone was confused. It's not convenient to talk about it here. Let's watch the competition first. We'll talk about it after the competition is over. After that, there was a competition between Class 7 and Class 10, as well as between Class 8 and Class 9. One of the girls caught Mo Shu's attention. Miu Miu came over and said, "Mo Shu, this girl is called Xiao Lan. Her skill is the blue flame on her body. She and you are both favorites to win the championship for the Sud Dort SVSTEM. She is also the sister of the third Veer. Senior Xiao Hong." Mo Shu wasn't interested at first. He only felt that Xiao Lan was stronger. When he heard Xiao Hong's name, he felt a headache coming on. That unreasonable woman. In the evening, the day's competition ended. Cao Fenglin yawned as he walked to the center of the arena. Those who have advanced will come here tomorrow. Those who have been eliminated don't have to come. After the selection is over, everyone will gather here. The students, regardless of whether they had advanced or not, walked out of the door sighing. How could they meet such a teacher? After Mo Shu walked out, he wanted to go back to the dormitory first, but he was stopped by He Lingyue and Miu Miu. "Mo Shu, what's going on between you and Yang Qingzhou?" Miu Miu asked. "I'm so anxious." He Lingyue also looked at Mo Shu expectantly. Mo Shu had no choice but to bring them to the cafeteria and chat while eating. Miu Miu was an impatient person. Once he sat down, he said impatiently, "Moxio, can you speak now?" Mo Shu kept them in suspense. "Yang Qingzhou knew that he couldn't beat me, but he still challenged me. Can't you guess why?" The three of them shook their heads. Miu Miu said unhappily, "Iya, Moxio, hurry up and tell me. Why?" "Because she wants to join me." Miu Miu rolled her eyes and said, "Join the strongest club?" "No." Mo Shu shook his head and said, "Do you still remember the rules of the competition that Teacher Cao said?" Hearing this, He Lingyu's eyes lit up. Apparently, she understood. Miu Miu whispered, "4 people will be selected to advance in the one-on-one elimination round. Then, the top 2 in the competition will choose their own team to advance in the team competition." "Ah, I understand. She wants you to take her to the team competition after you win." "That's right," Moxio said. "That's what she's thinking. She chose me to fight today to show me her strength." "You agreed in the end, so she admitted defeat?" He Lingyue said. Mo Shu nodded in response. He Lingyue and Miu Miu were both deep in thought. Only Dong Fang was unhappy. "So you're not chasing after girls? Sigh, you were excited for nothing." Mo Shu didn't pay attention to this guy who didn't do his job properly and just smiled. "Why did Yang Qingzhou do this?" He Lingyue asked with a deeper meaning. With her strength, it was possible for her to enter the top 4, right? At that time, wouldn't he be able to advance in both the solo and team competitions? "I've thought about this too. Maybe she thinks that the one-on-one competition isn't very meaningful." "That's right, a IV match is meaningless to a support." The person who spoke was Yang Qingzhou. She had appeared behind them. This made them feel a little awkward. After all, they were discussing others behind their backs and were discovered. Yang Qingzhou sat down beside Mo Shu. "I think that duels are meaningless for a team. A good assistant only needs to do 2 things. The first is to help the team win, and the second is to have the ability to protect themselves as much as possible and not become a burden to the team." Miu Miu didn't agree. "What if you face an enemy alone?" Yang Qingzhou leaned towards Mo Shu and said, "A good support should become the shadow of the main attacker, inseparable." The few of them had strange looks in their eyes. Yang Qingzhuo's words and actions were very ambiguous, and it was inevitable that they would misunderstand. Dong Fang's eyes lit up. He thought to himself, "Isn't Mo Shu still chasing after girls? Then, having an extra promotion spot in the one-on-one competition will also be helpful to you," He Lingyue asked. Yang Qingzhou then sent a message to Mo Shu. "That slot is dispensable. If I didn't choose to fight against Moxio today, I might have advanced. However, I lost the opportunity to form a team with Moxio." Yang Qingzhou looked at Mo Shu affectionately and said, "This is my support path." Mo Shu was startled by Yang Qingzhuo's glance and quickly averted his gaze. "What is your support path?" Miu Miu asked curiously. "The team is the main thing, and," Yang Qingzhou said proudly. Yang Qingzhou lowered his head shyly. "Also, in a sense, Moxio is my master." It was unknown if it was due to nervousness or some other reason, but when he said the last sentence, Mo Shu was his master, his voice became much louder. The surrounding students looked over. Some of the students from the auxiliary support system had an expression of understanding when they saw this scene. Mo Shu held his head and lowered his head. He had thought that Yang Qingzhou was a very far-sighted girl who understood that the future of a support was a team. He didn't expect her to do such a thing. This was going to blow up. Looking at the degree of discussion among the surrounding students, this matter would spread quickly. The more Dong Fang listened, the more excited he became. In the end, he couldn't control his excitement. He slammed the table and spilled the food on the table. He stood up and shouted, "Mo Shu! Awesome!" Dong Fang thought that this was an exciting moment, but Mo Shu was so embarrassed that he didn't dare to raise his head. What was going on? Not only did the surrounding people look at Yang Qingzhou strangely, but they also looked at He Lingyue and Miu Miu, who were sitting with Mo Shu. Yang Qingzhou finally realized that something was wrong. He looked around and ran away, his face red. The atmosphere was extremely awkward. Miu Miu felt that his worldview had been impacted and was stunned. "Mo Shu, why don't we leave first?" He Lingyue asked Mo Shu. Mo Shu already had this intention, so he brought the few of them and fled. Mo Shu and Dong Fang went straight to the dormitory. As they walked, they said to Dong Fang, "What are you doing in the cafeteria? Tomorrow, we will spar in the private room of the 5th training field." Dong Fang had heard about Lu Ziyang and Mo Shu sparring previously. He was so frightened that he shook his head and did not dare to speak. Mo Shu sighed. Why were there so many stupid teammates around him? When he returned to his dorm, Moxio turned on his phone and saw a photo that was going viral on the internet. Mo Shu sat with his hand on his forehead. Yang Qingzhou sat beside him with his hand covering his face. Dong Fang stood there with an excited expression. There were 4 big words on the picture. Mo Shu, awesome. Looking at the pictures that had gone viral, Mo Shu had the urge to beat Dong Fang up right now. Forget it. Mo Shu couldn't be bothered to look at it anymore. He might as well turn off his phone and go to sleep. The next morning, Mo Shu walked out of the dormitory and experienced the feeling of being a celebrity. Everywhere he went, people would look at him. Downstairs, Yang Qingzhou was waiting for him. "What are you doing here?" asked Mo Shu. "I was waiting for you." "Why are you waiting for me?" Moxio asked curiously. "Didn't you say that you don't have to go to the selection competition today?" Yang Qingzhou said playfully, Yes. The teacher said that you don't have to go, but he didn't say that you can't go. I'll accompany you to the competition. Did you forget what I said yesterday? I am your shadow." Dong Fang didn't dare to say anything after yesterday's incident. He quietly followed behind Mo Shu and Yang Qingzhou. The passers-by looked at him strangely, and Mo Shu felt a little uncomfortable. "Go back and wait. You don't have to follow me. After the results of the competition are out, I'll choose you. I know you'll choose me, so I'll follow you too. This will help us develop our relationship." Mo Shu really couldn't get through to this girl, so he could only give up trying to persuade her and let her follow him. After arriving at the stadium, Mo Shu was shocked. There were even more people here than yesterday. Didn't Cao Fengqing say that the eliminated people didn't need to come? How could there be so many? In the next second, Moxio understood that these people were here for him. A group of men shouted, "Mo Shu, awesome." He walked towards Mo Shu. "Moxio, quickly tell me, how did you make this little Ioli beside you acknowledge you as her master? Just teach me one move. Go to the side, you don't have any sincerity at all. How would Mo God teach you? Mo God, I'll pay 100,000 for the registration fee, how about?" Mo Shu thought to himself that this was not good. He might not be able to keep a low profile anymore. At this moment, Cao Fenglin's voice rang out. This was the first time Mo Shu felt that Cao Fenglin was so cute. "What do you do? This is the selection venue for the support element. All unrelated people, get out." When everyone saw that their teacher had arrived, those who were not of the support system all retreated. Cao Fenglin closed the door and said, "Mo Shu, you're very popular. You even have fans." Mo Shu didn't expect Cao Fenglin to make a joke out of him in front of everyone. He could only smile awkwardly. Right now, everyone's attitude towards Mo Shu was divided into 2 extremes. The boys looked at Mo Shu with envy, while the girls looked at him with disgust. Moxio spent the entire morning under these two gazes. In the afternoon, it was finally Moxia's new Class 6's turn to compete. New Class 3 and Class 6 will enter the arena to choose their opponents. There were 3 girls and 1 boy in the new class. Although the 3 girls looked at Mo Shu with killing intent, they knew the severity of the situation and did not want to face Mo Shu. In the end, the people from the new Class 3 took the initiative to suggest that they use the plan that Moxio had proposed last time. In the end, after they were split into groups, Mo Shu was matched up against a short-haired girl with a gender-looking face. The girl snorted and said, "Mo Shu, don't think that I'm easy to deal with. Even if I can't beat you, I'll make you suffer. Scumbag who plays with women, patooey." The short-haired girl's voice was not soft. Everyone present heard it. There were originally many girls in the support department. At this moment, they remembered that there was an earth-shattering shout. "Mo Shu, scumbag." Cao Fenglin saw that this was going to affect the progress of the competition and quickly shouted for them to stop. "Quiet down, don't bring your personal grudges into the competition. Since we've finished dividing the teams, let's start the competition." All of them entered the arena. It was unknown whether it was because of their strength or because of their notorious reputation, but almost all of the students had come to watch Mo Shu's match. Although Moxio was annoyed, he wasn't too affected. He used God's snooping on the short-haired girl as usual. Skill 1. Weaken, skill effect. Weakens a single target, reducing speed, strength, and concentration by 30%. Duration. 3 minutes, cooldown time. 3 hours, debuff skill. This was the first time Moxio had encountered such a skill. This skill was very difficult to deal with, and there was no chance of him using trickery. This was because regardless of whether Moxio used the skill first or if the opponent weakened him first, the reduction was the same. Since that was the case, Moxio might as well use the War God's Descent to feel the sudden weakening. Seeing that the other party did not move, Mo Shu took the initiative to attack. When the girls below the stage saw Moxio's actions, someone immediately said, as expected of a scumbag. He still has such a huge advantage against a girl, but he actually attacked first. Scumbag. Yes. Scumbag. Scumbag Mo Shu. Moxio listened to the voices below the stage and did not stop moving. When he was about to reach the short-haired girl, his body was enveloped by a layer of red light and his body sank. Moxio stood on the spot and felt his body. Was this a negative state? In order to feel how much of an impact the weakening would have on his body, Moxio did not use fierce attacks to eliminate his opponent. Instead, he slowly exchanged blows with his opponent. Mo Shu didn't feel anything, but when the girls saw this scene, they exploded. This pervert, is he trying to take advantage of me by playing around like this? Look at that wretched look. That's it. It's too much. He won't let go of a girl. The boys' eyes lit up. This was a good way to take advantage of her. They all shouted the same slogan in unison. Mo Shu, awesome. It was a mess below the stage. Cao Fenglin sighed and muttered to himself, "Sigh, it's so good to be young." The faculty selection competition is almost like Mo Shu's solo concert. Moxio was also annoyed by this. Now, he felt that it was about time. The effect of this weakening on him was fading as time passed. At first, he was not used to it, and some flaws appeared. However, it slowly recovered. In other words, a skill like weakening would pose the greatest threat the moment it was activated. It would disrupt the rhythm of the attack. Moxio suddenly exerted strength and pushed the short-haired girl's arm, pushing her out of bounds. With Mo Shu's victory, all 4 matches were decided. The 4 people from the new Class 6 advanced once again and became the new Class 3. Accompanied by the 2 different voices of "scumbag" and "awesome," Mo Shu left the stage. The final match between the new Class 4 and Class 5 was about to begin. Mo Shu finally stopped for a while. Taking advantage of the last match, Mo Shu left after informing Cao Fenglin. He didn't want to get into trouble again. Moxio was in a good mood as he walked out of the stadium. It was finally quiet. As she walked forward, she felt someone pulling her from behind. She turned around and saw that there was no one there. When she looked down, she saw Yang Qingzhou tugging at the corner of her clothes. "Hey, why did you follow me?" Mo Shu sighed. Yang Qingzhou said, "Did I cause you trouble, Morisho? I'll help you explain." It's okay. You don't have to explain for me. What a joke. Mo Shu was scared of being scammed. If Yang Qingzhou couldn't explain it clearly, he would only make things worse. People would naturally forget about this kind of news after a long time. Let him be. At this moment, Mo Shu's phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was Lu Ziyang. This guy had been under a lot of pressure from the competition recently. Why did he have the time to call? Hello? What was it? Don't tell me you want to shout that Mo Shu is awesome? Lu Ziyang didn't dare to say anything else after the last sparring incident. No, boss, Zheng Yi wants to get together. I called you yesterday but you turned off your phone, so he came to find me. Mo Shu glanced at the follower beside him. Fine. Mo Huan thought about it. He couldn't shake off this stalker anyway. It would be troublesome if he was seen wandering around the school. He might as well bring her out. Mo Shu walked in front while Yang Qingzhou followed behind him. The girls who passed by cast disdainful looks at him. You've got the little girl, why don't you wait for her, humph? When the two of them arrived at the gate, Lu Ziyang was already waiting for them. They got into Chang Zi's car and went to Zheng Yi's school. Zheng Yi's school was called Qingyun University, which was second only to Yanjing University. The reason why they came to find Zheng Yi instead of Zheng Yi going to Yanjing University was because there was a very famous food street near the school. Mo Shu and the others stopped at the school gate and got out of the car. Chang Zi had something to do and left first. Just as she got out of the car, she heard Zheng Yi's hearty laughter. Ha ha ha, Mo Shu, Lu Ziyang, I missed you so much. Zheng Yi came over and hugged Mo Shu first, then Lu Ziyang. After hugging the two of them, he realized that there was a girl beside Mo Shu. Zheng Yi said sarcastically, Mo Shu, who is this? Why don't you introduce them? Oh, she's my teammate, Yang Qingzhou. Just teammates? Zheng Yi, this is the girl in the photo. Lu Ziyang couldn't help but interrupt. Zheng Yi had also seen the photo yesterday, and it was only then that he came to a realization. I understand everything. Mo Shu couldn't be bothered to explain, so he changed the topic. Cut the crap. We're at your home ground. Lead the way and entertain us. Zheng Yi chuckled. No problem. Leave it to me. Come with me. I know a good hotpot restaurant. Let's go together. Zheng Yi seemed to be very familiar with this area. He led the few of them to a hotpot restaurant. Zheng Yi reported his name and the waiter arranged a private room for them. Everyone sat down. Zheng Yi handed the menu to Mo Shu and said, Come, Mo Shu, order a few dishes. Moxio flipped through the menu. It was written that Moxio had never eaten mutton and beef before. Due to the mutation, most animals had innate skills. After the war, they signed a contract of exemption, and all animals were evacuated from human territory. Now, all meat was artificially raised and the price was very expensive. In the past, Moxio couldn't afford to eat at all. The best meat he had eaten was the pheasant that his mother had personally cooked. Mo Shu didn't know how to order and didn't want to pretend. He directly handed the menu to fatty Lu Ziyang. Lu Ziyang pushed the menu to Zheng Yi. You guys order. I'm not picky when it comes to food. Zheng Yi took the menu and was about to order it himself when he suddenly saw Yang Qingzhou sitting beside Mo Shu. Sister, order a few dishes. Pick what you like to eat. It's my treat. If I can't afford it, there's still the god of fortune, Lu Ziyang. Yang Qingzhou took the menu and looked up at Mo Shu. Seeing Mo Shu nod, it was as if a switch had been turned on. She, who had been silent all this while, rolled up her sleeves and flipped open the menu. Give me 5 servings of premium lamb. Yes. Is this veal your signature dish? Give me 5 portions? This colorful meat platter looks good too. 5 servings. Zheng Yi widened his eyes and looked at Yang Qingzhou, then at Mo Shu. What was going on? This little girl can eat so much? Mo Shu noticed that something was wrong and whispered into Yang Qingzhou's ear. Elle ordered so much. Can I finish it all? Mo Shu, can't you order it? Yang Qingzhou asked. The waiter looked at Mo Shu with a strange gaze. He had such a cute girlfriend, yet he didn't let him eat his fill. How long had he been starving? Moxio had no choice. He pointed at a meat dish on the menu and said, Give me 5 of these as well. The waiter's expression immediately changed. It seemed that he was a good man who knew how to dote on his girlfriend. Yang Qingzhou smiled brightly and continued to order. He ordered another 10 plates of meat and pondered for a long time. He looked at everyone as if he had made an important decision. He nodded heavily and handed the menu to the waiter. "All right, that's all. Do you want to order something?" asked Mo Shu. "It's all meat." "Isn't eating hot pot about eating meat?" Yang Qingzhou asked. Mo Shu and the other two were speechless. The meat was served very quickly. There were 4 people and 30 plates of meat. The entire table couldn't fit them. Mo Shu looked at Lu Ziyang, meaning that the meat was all up to him. The waiter wanted to help but was rejected by Yang Qingzhou. After the waiter left, Yang Qingzhou picked up 2 plates of meat and threw them into the hot pot. As he threw the meat, he said, "They're too slow. We'll do it ourselves, hee." The few people who were worried about ordering too much just now were relieved in less than 5 minutes. Yang Qingzhou scooped out the 2 plates of meat and distributed them to the 4 of them. Then, he skillfully threw 2 plates into the pot. After that, she sat down and ate her portion of meat. She looked at the undercooked meat in the pot with anticipation. When the meat was cooked, he scooped it all out and repeated the process. Seeing that Mo Shu, Zheng Yi, and Lu Ziyang hadn't finished eating the meat on their plates, they put all the meat on their own plates. There was too much meat to put on their plates, so they even specially asked the waiter for a small basin. Within a few minutes, the 2 plates of meat were finished. He continued to scoop the meat. Seeing Mo Shu and the other 2 staring at him blankly, Yang Qingzhou said embarrassedly, "Why are you? If you don't want to eat, you can eat as much as you want. I'll give you meat." Yang Qingzhou couldn't even speak properly. Zheng Yi secretly gave Mo Shu a thumbs up when he saw this. She could eat so much. Would Mo Shu be able to afford it in the future? Half an hour later, Yang Qingzhou finished 22 plates of meat by himself. This was the first time Moxio felt like he had seen a monster. How did such a small girl eat so much meat? Could it be that his entire body was filled with his stomach? Yang Qingzhou held his belly and smiled with satisfaction. After that, she sat in her seat and did not speak anymore. She became a quiet girl again. This couldn't even be called a foodie. It should be called a god of food. In the past half an hour, the 3 of them had spent most of their time watching Yang Qingzhou's performance and hadn't eaten much. After Yang Qingzhou finished eating, the few of them began to eat and chat. "Zheng Yi, you didn't seek death at Qingyun University, did you?" Mo Shu asked. "When have I ever done that?" Zheng Yi said unhappily. "Your performance is great, but you're quite famous. Even the slogan, 'Mo Shu is awesome,' has come to our school." Zheng Yi glanced at Yang Qingzhou, who was beside him. He didn't feel too good and didn't continue. "By the way, let me tell you something good. I have a girlfriend." Zheng Yi took out his phone and showed Mo Shu and Lu Ziyang a few photos. The girl on it had an elegant temperament and was somewhat like a goddess. Mo Shu understood Zheng Yi the best. "She's your girlfriend. You brought her here to show off a long time ago. These photos look like they were secretly taken." Zheng Yi was exposed and said awkwardly, "Ah ha ha, to be precise, she's my future girlfriend. I haven't gotten her yet." Zheng Yi glared at Mo Shu, blaming him for destroying the stage. Lu Ziyang laughed as he listened, as if he suddenly remembered something. "Right. Mo Shu, Zheng Yi. I heard from Hao Ren that there's a powerful figure in the power attack department from Shun City Noel Middle School. Do you know him?" "Who is it?" Mo Shu and Zheng Yi said in unison. "Zhou Chuwu." Moxio pondered for a moment. He had some impression of her, but he couldn't remember who she was. "Mo Shu, have you forgotten about the famous Zhou Chuwu?" Zheng Yi asked. He had awakened 2 skills, but he didn't take the college entrance examination. He must have been recruited into Yanjing University. Only then did Mo Shu remember that Zhou Chuwu was a famous person for a period of time. However, he slowly disappeared from everyone's sight. He didn't expect to show off again at Yanjing University. Mo Shu and Zheng Yi hadn't seen each other for more than half a month. They finished their meal while chatting. After dinner, Mo Shu and the others didn't stay for long and returned to Yanjing University. After all, they still had to participate in the department selection competition the next day, so they shouldn't stay out too late. When they returned to the dormitory, Yang Qingzhou was still with Mo Shu. "Little stalker, I'm going back to the dormitory. Are you still following me? My dormitory is also here. Yang Qingzhou followed Mo Shu to the third floor. I'm here. Which floor are you on? Hurry up and go back. Yang Qingzhou pointed upstairs and left reluctantly. Mo Shu shook his head helplessly. What should he do? Yang Qingzhou was still clinging onto him. After returning to the dormitory, Mo Shu lay on the bed and prepared to sleep. There was a message from Mu Qingyi. There was only one picture, the famous, Mo Shu is awesome. Mo Shu slapped his head. This matter had still reached Mu Qingyi, and he did not know who had leaked it. Mo Shu replied. Are you jealous? Mu Qingyi's reply was still the same picture. Mo Shu is awesome. What do you mean? Are you jealous? Mo Shu is awesome. Can you post something else? Mu Qingyi did not send any pictures this time and typed directly. Mo Shu is awesome, ha ha ha, this is actually a misunderstanding. Mo Shu explained for a while, but he did not know if Mu Qingyi had listened to him. He was speechless for a night. The next morning, Yang Qingzhou was waiting at Moxia's door. Mo Shu sighed. Since he couldn't avoid it, he decided to leave it at that. When they arrived at the venue for the selection competition, there were clearly fewer people today. There were only 4 teams left with a total of 16 people. Those who had advanced had already competed for 2 rounds, and those who wanted to understand their opponents were more or less done. Those who had not advanced came here to watch the competition, so they might as well take more time to train. There were a total of 4 classes left. In the morning, Mo Shu's class, New Class 3, was assigned to them. The way he chose his opponent was the same as before. This time, Moxia's opponent was finally a boy. The boy was very polite. After entering the arena, he did not start the competition immediately. Instead, he introduced himself. I call Guo Fan very happy. Can you match? I may hit but out of learning angle. I hope you can go all out to match. 1 may let me know gap. 2 may. 500 words are omitted here. Mo Shu was annoyed by what he heard and wanted to interrupt him, but Guo Fan spoke too quickly and couldn't interrupt at all. The other 3 matches had ended, but Guo Fan was still talking. Cao Fenglin looked at his watch. It was almost time to eat. He had endured for 5 minutes and had yet to stop. Student Guo Fan, you are disqualified from the competition. Mo Shu wins. Guo Fan paused for a second and said to Cao Fenglin, Teacher, I can fight. Do you think that I can't beat Mo Shu? Even if I can't win, I can still contribute a wonderful match to my classmates. Why do you want to cancel my competition rules? Cao Fenglin pointed to a few of his classmates and said, drag him out. A few students dragged Guo Fan out, and Guo Fan still said, Teacher, I can fight, I can still fight. Mo Shu found it funny. What kind of person was this? He didn't expect that he would advance without even fighting today. This time, Miu Miu from the new Class 3 was eliminated, and the remaining 3 were promoted to Class 2. Miu Miu was a little unhappy. She, who had always been forthright, was a little unhappy. Miu Miu's skills were not very strong, so it was expected that he would not be able to advance. What was surprising was that Cao Fenglin, a man who didn't want to care about anything, actually came over to comfort Miu Miu. Miu Miu was also coaxed by him until she laughed out loud. Mo Shu looked at He Lingyue. He Lingyue had always been with Miu Miu, so she should know something. However, He Lingyue spread her hands, indicating that she wasn't sure. However, looking at Cao Fenglin's expression, it was obvious that things weren't as simple as they seemed. Seeing the 2 of them chatting and laughing, Mo Shu and the others did not wait for Miu Miu and secretly left. As they walked out of the venue, He Lingyue wanted to say something but hesitated. He Lingyue, is there anything you want to tell me? Mo Shu asked. He Lingyue looked at Mo Shu and then at Yang Qingzhou. Moxio, can you choose me when you team up? I can give you my skill. Mo Shu already knew that He Lingyue's skill, future, could be used on others, but he still pretended to be surprised. Before Mo Shu could say anything, Yang Qingzhou stood in front of Mo Shu and glared at He Lingyue. He Lingyue burst out laughing and said, Haha, I'm not trying to steal your master. I just want to join his team. As he spoke, he looked at Moxio and waited for his reply. I know, I'll choose you when the time comes. Thank you, He Lingyue said. I'll be leaving then, bye. Mo Shu understood why He Lingyue brought this up at this time. There were only 8 contestants left in the qualifiers, and the remaining opponents were all very strong. It would be difficult for He Lingyue to advance further. Dong Fang had a goal to pursue recently and left in a hurry. Mo Shu had no idea where he was going with Little Stalker when Hao Ren called him and asked him to go to the activity room of the strongest club. Since she had nothing to do, she decided to go and see what Hao Ren had been doing recently. Upon entering the activity room, Mo Shu saw a girl sitting next to Hao Ren. Dressed in a tight-fitting leather jacket, he gave off a particularly capable and experienced feeling. Hao Ren saw Yang Qingzhou following behind Mo Shu and smiled secretly. "What are you laughing at?" asked Mo Shu. "Let's get down to business. This is..." Hao Ren suddenly became formal and introduced them to Moxio. "This is Duya, an elementalist. I went through a lot of data screening and found a suitable candidate." Moxio felt a little strange. Looking at her attire, he thought that Duya was an agility system. He did not expect her to be an elemental system. Mo Shu extended his hand and said, "Hello, my name is Mo Shu. From now on, you will be a member of our strongest club." Duya ignored Mo Shu's outstretched right hand and coldly said, "You're the scumbag Mo Shu, right? However, it doesn't matter. The requirement for me to join your club is that I don't participate in the selection and directly enter the club battle." "No problem. It's a pleasure working with you." Moxio extended his hand again. Duya's philosophy was the same as Mo Shu's, so Mo Shu was naturally willing to accept it. Duya still ignored Mo Shu. She stood up and said, "I've already finished writing the application to join the club. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving." Mo Shu retracted his right hand and looked at Hao Ren. Hao Ren smiled and said, "She's like that, but she's very strong. I see you've brought someone with you. Is she joining our club?" Mo Shu turned around and saw that Yang Qingzhou had just finished a call and was looking at him. "Yang Qingzhou, have you joined a club? I just called to quit my previous club. Where is your application? Give me one." In the third training field, the auxiliary system selection competition. Today, Cao Fenglin had eliminated all the eliminated contestants, leaving only the 2 classes that had advanced and Miu Miu. According to Cao Fenglin, Miu Miu would be his assistant in the future. This time, Cao Fenglin did not let the 2 classes choose their own opponents. Instead, he personally divided them into groups. He didn't know if it was just his imagination, but Cao Fenglin seemed different. Mo Shu was paired up against a girl named Hu Xianming, while He Lingyue was paired up against the strongest opponent, Xiao Lan. As soon as the groups were divided, He Lingyue looked at Mo Shu helplessly, meaning that she had no chance. It was all up to him. There was no one else in the stadium. It was very quiet, and the 4 groups were still competing at the same time. Mo Shu used God's snooping on Hu Xianming. Skill. Holy Light 2, skill effect. Can cast Holy Light on any target 10 times in 10 minutes. Holy Light can heal and purify negative statuses. Cooldown time, 6 hours. Pure Nanny? This kind of pure healer could actually advance to the top 8? Mo Shu hadn't noticed Hu Xianming before, so he didn't know how she was going to compete. "Can we start?" Hu Xianming asked. Moxio gestured for the other party to attack first. Hu Xianming didn't hold back and directly attacked, punching Mo Shu in the chest. Mo Shu was just about to block when Hu Xianming's fist suddenly changed direction and struck towards Mo Shu's face. Moxio immediately activated the descent of the war god and quickly retreated. This was ancient martial arts. It had been a long time since they last met. Moxio had studied ancient martial arts before, but his knowledge was limited. He only knew the basics, such as Ba Gua Zhang. Later on, after Wang Lei's guidance in the cosmic tuition class, he slowly discovered that the simplest moves were the most effective against enemies. Mo Shu had never encountered an ancient martial art like Hu Xianming's, which had so many moves. His carelessness earlier had given Moxio a warning to never underestimate his opponent. The 2 of them exchanged blows again. This time, Moxio took the initiative and attacked with all his might. No matter how powerful Hu Xianming's moves were, he was still forced back by the absolute suppression. Hu Xianming's moves were both offensive and defensive, without a single flaw. Mo Shu could only force Hu Xianming to retreat and exhaust her. As the game dragged on, even if Hu Xianming could block Mo Shu's attacks, he would still be injured and his stamina would continue to decrease. Mo Shu seized the opportunity and punched Hu Xianming's shoulder. Hu Xianming didn't manage to dodge the punch, and just when Mo Shu thought victory was in his hands, Hu Xianming's body emitted a white light. It was the holy light skill. Mo Shu's fist and the holy light appeared on Hu Xianming's body at the same time, and they actually negated the damage. Hu Xianming caught Mo Shu off guard and threw a punch at him. His fist exerted a second force in the air, forcing Mo Shu back a step. Mo Shu had never been so excited before. This Hu Xianming was too powerful. Using the skill to the extreme, using the effect of the holy light to offset the damage caused by the enemy's attack, wonderful. His timing was also very accurate. And the punch he had thrown at Mo Shu just now had clearly used a special method of exerting force. Otherwise, Hu Xianming's strength wouldn't have been able to repel Mo Shu. "I see," said Mo Shu. "Are you willing to form a team with me to participate in the team battle?" "I'm sorry, I promised Sister Xiaolan that I would join her team." Mo Shu was not disappointed. Instead, he smiled and said, "One want you for sure. It seems that I need to defeat Xiaolan and become the champion to snatch you." Mo Shu said this out of admiration. Fortunately, there was no audience around. Otherwise, there would be a tsunami of scumbags. Hu Xianming didn't expect Mo Yucheng to say this. He snorted coldly, "Beat me first." Both fists were thrown at Mo Shu. Mo Shu dodged to the side, but Hu Xianming's fists continued to attack. Mo Shu wasn't in a hurry. He was more and more curious about Hu Xianming's relentless pursuit of this fist technique that could even be used twice. He actually began to learn it in a proper manner. Hu Xianming found it funny when he saw Mo Shu learning his fist technique. She had been practicing this fist technique since she was young and had only just made some progress. How could it be learned so easily? At first, Hu Xianming only thought Mo Shu was funny, but the more he fought, the more shocked he became. What was wrong with this person? After only a dozen moves, the fist technique had some form. Mo Shu didn't exert any strength, so Hu Xianming naturally didn't feel much pressure. However, Hu Xianming was frowning. This man named Mo Shu was actually able to use his fist technique with a hint of charm. He was simply a monster. Mo Shu had a preliminary understanding of the principle of the second step force release, and he had also figured out a thing or two about the boxing routine. However, there were still some problems with the connection between the two moves. Just as Mo Shu was enjoying the fight, Hu Xianming suddenly struck Mo Shu's arms with both palms, and he was forced back by the rebound. After that, he raised his right hand and said to Cao Fenglan, "Teacher, I admit defeat, I don't want to fight." "How can you just give up like this?" asked Moxio. Hu Xianming cursed Mo Shu for pretending to be ignorant. If they continued fighting, he would probably learn the entire set of fist techniques. Cao Fenglan announced, "Mo Shu wins." "All right," Moxio said unwillingly. "This match is over. But you have to remember that you're in my team." Hu Xianming looked at Mo Shu with a complicated expression. On the one hand, he wanted to fulfill his promise to Xiaolan, but on the other hand, he felt that Mo Shu's strength was indeed terrifying, and joining him wasn't a bad idea. She lowered her head and thought for a moment, but still did not say anything. She turned around and walked out of the stadium. Mo Shu had thought that he would be the last to finish the competition, but he didn't expect Dong Fang to be even slower. The one who had already advanced was a girl named Shui Ling. She wasn't very familiar with her before. There was also Xiaolan. As expected, she eliminated He Lingyue and advanced. At this moment, Dong Fang wasn't done yet, not because he had fallen into a bitter battle, but because his opponent's skill was also to strengthen his defense. Neither of them could break through the other's defense. Just like that, they were in a stalemate. Moxio looked at the boy opposite him. He wasn't tall or strong. Mo Shu coughed lightly. When Dong Fang looked at him, he pushed He Lingyue, who was beside him. He Lingyue looked at Mo Shu in confusion and said, "Why did you push me? You're so small. Shouldn't I push you?" Moxio said. Although He Lingyue had a very steady personality, she couldn't stand Mo Shu's provocation. Just as she was about to flare out, she saw Mo Shu winking at her. He Lingyue didn't quite understand what Mo Shu meant, so she simply ignored him and turned to watch the game. When he saw Dong Fang's actions, he suddenly realized that he was helping Dong Fang cheat. At this moment, Dong Fang relied on his weight advantage to push his opponent away, wanting to push his opponent out of the arena. Mo Shu's actions earlier were clearly to tell Dong Fang this method. The other party wanted to run, but Dong Fang's two hands grabbed onto the other party tightly and finally pushed the other party out of bounds. Cao Fenglin's voice rang out. The last match is over. Dong Fang wins. Then, he looked at Miu Miu. Miu Miu took a step forward and said, the competition has ended. The 4 students who have advanced are Mo Shu, Xiao Lan, Shui Ling, and Dong Fang. Congratulations, you're representing the support department in the individual competition. Mo Shu and the other 3 nodded at each other. Miu Miu continued, that's all for today. The final selection will be held tomorrow morning. 1 or 2 teams will be selected to advance to the team battle. Mo Shu walked out of the stadium. As expected, the little stalker had been waiting for him. Hao Ren had just called. From today onwards, they could go to the student union to sign up for the club competition and the solo competition. The club president had to bring all the members of the team to sign up. For clubs with less than 1,000 members, each grade could only send out 1 team, and 10 people could sign up for the IVI. Clubs with more than 1,000 members could fight 2 teams per grade, and 20 people could register for the one-on-one competition. Each team must have no more than 8 people, including substitutes. There are only 7 strong clubs, and all of them are grade 1 students, and all of them are grade 1 teams, and all of them can participate in the one-on-one competition. Moni thought for a while and asked Hao Ren to ask Duya when she was free. The others were more cooperative, but Duya was the only one who was difficult to deal with. Hao Ren soon sent a message saying that he was free today. Mo Shu hurriedly gathered all the club members to register at the student union. There were 7 members in the strongest club: Mo Shu, Lu Ziyang, Dong Fang, He Lingyue, Hao Ren, Yang Qingzhou, and Du Ya. When they arrived at the student union building, they did not see the crowd they had imagined. There were only a dozen or so teams. Hao Ren, what happened? Mo Shu asked Hao Ren. There were so many clubs, and only this few people came to sign up? Hao Ren was now focused on helping Moxio with the club's affairs. He was already a know-it-all, and now he was even more well-informed. Registration is actually set up for some small and medium-sized clubs. Some big clubs don't even need to register. The student union will take the initiative to send the declaration form, and they can just fill it in. There are quite a few small and medium-sized clubs, right? Mo Shu asked again. Yes, but at this time, all the clubs of a certain size are either in the midst of the selection or haven't done so yet. Before the list of participants is confirmed, most of these clubs will register a few days before the registration deadline. Lu Ziyang raised his eyebrows and said, that means that these clubs are all. Hao Ren covered his face and said, that's right. Those who are signing up now are all clubs like ours. They're the weakest clubs. Hearing Hao Ren's words, Mo Shu was unwilling. Hao Ren, as the vice president, how can you destroy your own morale? Have you forgotten the name of our club? When did I become the vice president? Hao Ren asked with confusion. I hereby appoint you as the vice president. All right then. Moxio was angry when he saw how listless Hao Ren and the others were. He didn't create the club to be the weakest club. Mo Shu cleared his throat and said, cough cough cough. How about this? I see that you guys don't seem to have much confidence. I'll set a goal for the team battle. After all, the solo battle is all up to you, so there's no way to set a goal. Upon hearing this, everyone's gaze focused on Mo Shu. Mo Shu didn't say anything, he extended a finger. Top 100? Hao Ren asked. Mo Shu shook his head. Lu Ziyang said, you're underestimating boss too much. He's definitely in the top 10. We only have one goal in the team competition. Moxio shook his head. First grade champion. Tisk. The other 6 people were stunned for a second before they all let out a tisk sound. Even the unsociable Du Ya's reaction was surprisingly the same as everyone else's. The clubs that were ranked behind the strongest clubs all looked at Mo Shu as if he was an idiot. Was this person crazy? Soon, They were queued up to register for the strongest club. The name of the club, the strongest club. The staff member raised his head and looked at Moxio for a while, as if he wanted to remember Moxio. Are you Mo Shu? Are you the president of the strongest club? Mo Shu nodded. The staff could not help but laugh. Club number. Do you want to register for the individual competition or the team competition? Everyone, sign up. Then let's start with the individual competition. Mo Shu reported the names of the 7 people to the staff. Yanjing University focused on competition education, so no one wanted to give up the opportunity to compete. Yes, the staff member explained. It's the individual competition of the club. The qualifying round is on the 15th of August. Remember to participate on time. After that, the staff gave everyone a competition permit and they signed a few disclaimer statements before they were considered successful. The staff member continued, next is the registration for the team competition. What are the year groups and the number of participating teams for the strongest club? We only have one team, Moxio said. We're participating in the first grade competition. There are 7 people in the team. Are you sure that 7 people will be participating in the competition? The rules allowed 5 main players and 3 substitutes, a total of 8 people to participate in the competition. Shouldn't they call another person over? There's no need for that, Moxio said confidently. Just 7 people. We just registered for the IV competition. The 6 people behind him rolled their eyes. What did he mean by there was no need? You can't find the 8th person, right? Since all 7 of them had filled in their information, the team competition registration process was much faster. After filling in the information, the staff asked, the registration for the strongest society team competition is successful. What is the name of the team? Teams needed names because some clubs would sign up for many teams and would use names to differentiate them. Mo Shu turned around and looked at the few of them. These people were given to him for free. When the club was named, none of them came out to speak. Don't even think about it. The strongest team. The staff stared at Mo Shu with wide eyes. The team's name would be called out by the host during the competition. Was he so shameless? Ine Yusku. Moxio, Hao Ren said as he pulled on Moxio, do you want to reconsider? We're going to attract hatred. Haven't I attracted enough aggro yet? Moxio asked. Mo Shu was the president of the strongest club and a scumbag who played with women. It was equivalent to a group of people mocking him in the entire school. The corner of Hao Ren's mouth twitched, and he decided to go with Moxio. Mo Shu turned around and said to the staff, sure. It's called the strongest team. My teammates haven't seen the world yet. The staff member didn't know how to answer Mo Shu and subconsciously blurted out the famous quote. Mo Shu. Awesome. After registering, everyone walked out together. Lu Ziyang sneaked to Mo Shu's side and asked softly. Boss, this is not your personality. You used to be low-key, but why are you so arrogant now? I can't keep a low profile now. In that case, I might as well turn the world upside down and see how capable I am. Moxio slowly came to understand that increasing his fame would bring pressure, and this pressure would force him to become stronger. Moxio was a stubborn person and liked this kind of invisible pressure. The next morning, in the venue of the department's selection competition, there were only 4 people left. If everything went as planned, the champion of the support division would be chosen tomorrow. Cao Fenglin brought Miu Miu into the stadium. Miu Miu had become a secretary and was the one speaking most of the time. Teacher Cao has yet to announce the champion's reward. Now, I'll tell everyone that the champion of the support division will first choose his teammates to form a team. Also, the reward for the support division is a heart-cleansing wood.